Visit admissions.usask.ca.
Precision Weather brought to you by B&A Petroleum in Swift Current, with multiple locations serving southern Saskatchewan for over 30 years. See B&A Petroleum for all your fuel and propane needs. A high of 26 today, sunny, winds north-northwest 20 to 35, gusting a bit higher. Precipitation chance is 0. The low tonight is 12, partly cloudy. The wind dying down a little bit, north-northwest 15 to 25 kilometers an hour.
B&A Petroleum is a southern Saskatchewan family-owned business that's there for you. They've been supporting their clients for over 30 years with locations in several communities throughout the southern part of the province. B&A Petroleum is available for all your bulk fuel and lubricant needs, with propane at selected locations Monday to Friday. And don't forget, their Cardlock location is accessible 24 hours for your convenience. B&A Petroleum. Fuel you once, fuel you forever.
Find fishing gear built for legends at the Summer Savings Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Organize your tackle like a pro with the new Bass Pro Shops Advanced Angler Tackle Bag, and you'll save 30%. Available in 4 sizes and a backpack. And save 25% on Daiwa Fuego rods and reels, designed to be light and tough without skimping on durability. Catch these fishing deals and more during the Summer Savings Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. See online for details.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Well, Sports Cage brought to you by Nelson Homes, of course, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. This is Don Hewitt filling in for Barney. Barney just finishing up a family vacation. He will be back on Monday, and the Riders will be back on Monday, and Dave Thomas will be back on Monday, and I won't be here on Monday, but Barney will be back in the big chair. And we got some outstanding guests lined up for you on this TGIF event for Sports Cage. Dan Rashovich, who played in the CFL for 16 years, 16 seasons, is coming up off the top of the show. He's also a counselor for Ward 1 in Regina. He was a good football player. He's a very good counselor. Regina's happy to have him and happy that he eventually moved back to Regina. We'll talk about that with Dan later. The 29-year voice of the Calgary Stampeders and QR77, Mark Stephen. He'll also join us if it weren't for COVID. He would be at 30 years as the voice of the Stamps. Jack Newman, with always some interesting insights, will join us. He lives a block away from McMahon Stadium, and he said he's never heard it that loud in several years as far as the crowd is concerned from last night. Ron Taylor, well, Ron and his wife, Deb McDaniel, they drive to Regina and back for every Rider home game. So anybody that does that deserves a few minutes on Sports Cage. Of course, if you didn't know it, it's National Fishing Week in Canada. And, well, there's our technical producer, Curtis Gammon. He likes that. Do you fish, Curtis?
I was not ready for you to call for me.
That's okay.
I like
How much fishing do you do? Yeah?
Not a lot of fishing. Did some fishing when I was a youth. Used to go out with my uncle and stuff, but it's been a long time. But I would actually love to go fishing like tomorrow. You want to go fishing, Don?
Well, I won't catch a fish, but Jason Matty will. He's the guy to go to. So we'll check to see if he'll take you fishing tomorrow, and he should. Barney's going to be along with a golf gym in Indian Head. Glenn Sudter, he joins us. Of course, he called the color for the TSN game last night. Calgary destroying the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but the Stampede Bowl will never be the Banjo Bowl. We all know that. And we're going to have a lot of fun on top of it all. But let's start out with a heck of a football player. He was a stud, if I can use that word, as a CFL football player. Anybody that can last 16 seasons in a sports like that, well, he was a durable dude. Welcome to the show, Dan. Let's go over some of your stats for a minute. You played here in Saskatchewan from 87 to 1999, 255 games played, 414 defensive tackles, allegedly and wrongly 153 special team tackles. We'll talk about that later. 3 picks, 17 fumble recoveries, 23 sacks. You should be leading the CFL in special teams tackles, but you've been ripped off. You started in 87, but what was it? 3 years later, they started the league, or was it 3 years that they started counting special teams tackles, and you got hosed?
So my rookie year was 84. They started keeping track in 19.
That's right. Yeah, Toronto and Ottawa, yeah.
They missed my first 7 years, basically. So my last 9 years at 100, I wrote this down, So
that's okay.
Rob Vanstone's been quite kind of on top of this, Yeah. So my last 9 years, I had 153. Rob found through the stats with the Riders from 87. So those 4 years with the Riders, he found the numbers, and I would have been at 245. 245, right. And that would be the record easy. And then my first 3 years, I was with the Argos in Ottawa, and I was picked our special teams player of the year, and I sent you some stuff about those first 3 years. You know what? Those have been 38. That, like Vanstone said, the numbers would be Gretzky-like.
Well, I mean, he even had some numbers for individual years from Rob, like 1990. You had 23 special teams tackles to lead the Roughriders, 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 fumble recoveries, 1 pick. You were a Western All-Star. Then Rob also had 1992. You had 70 defensive tackles. You led the team, 20 special teams tackles, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss. I mean, Rob is just such a wizard with numbers. And we're going to have some pictures up, but I sent the text to the wrong number to Curtis to get them developed. I'm going to try to maybe text while we're talking to see if we can get a few pictures of those up. So it's such a long, distinguished football career you had, and not only should you be way ahead in special teams tackles, and you still look like you could play. I saw you at a coffee shop a few months ago, and I thought, whoa. But you also had the bizarre distinction of being drafted in the CFL 3 times. Like, how did that happen?
Well, 1984, I was drafted by the Ottawa Roughriders, 13th overall. Mm-hmm. Then I was, then I got, I ended up in Toronto, and I played my contract out. So, but they had an equalization draft, because back then the weaker teams could pick players from the good teams. So I got drafted. So Montreal had picked me from Toronto, but I played on my contract and went to mini camps with the Raiders in '87 and El Segundo. That was pretty cool with Tom Flores, and you know what I mean. It was pretty neat,
For sure.
So then I got released. So I ended up in Montreal for the end of training camp, because training camp was being held in Halifax. So I got out there late. Then we were going to our first game to play Toronto. We were on the bus, and the team folded. Well, then that was the third draft. It was the dispersal draft. So me and Dave Ridgway ended up here with the Riders. So, I get the distinction. I've been drafted 3 times in the CFL.
And what a draft for Saskatchewan, getting you and Dave Ridgway. I mean, they knew what they were doing with the dispersal draft, the way you guys played, the two of you.
Thanks. Well, Bill Baker was the GM, and I think there was some Dick Adams was one of the coaches here, and he coached me my rookie year in Ottawa.
Dickie Adams.
Yep. So he, I know I've talked to Bill Baker, and all he said was we needed more toughness on this team.
Yeah. You gave it. You definitely gave it. Yep.
But we had a ton of guys like that. Mm-hmm. We did. I had quite a few guys, which is pretty neat. Yeah.
Well, speaking of toughness in that sort of realm, in 1990, thanks to Al Ford, the former Rough Rider general manager, he gave us permission at CTV to put a wireless mic on yourself in the Western semifinal up in Edmonton. TSN and Sportsnet, I think, were just a year or two old. Maybe, they just were starting. And this, I'd never heard of putting a wireless mic on players at that time. I thought I was a genius. Apparently, probably people were doing it here and there. But we put that wireless mic, and for people that haven't played football in particular, when we ran the feature, they found it very interesting because, and I did too, because all the groaning that you heard, like how physical the game was. It was a playoff game, so more physical than the average regular season game. And you get hit so much, special teams and tackling and whatnot, and you'd get hit, and I'd just hear you moan and groan. Then you could hear other guys moaning and groaning beside you in the pileups. And I thought, I never realized there was so much of that went on.
You know, in that game particularly, it was a snowy, windy, -10. Who knows what the wind chill was? Like, if you recall, even I was trying to talk to our corners and halfbacks. Sometimes my mouth was frozen. And the water bottles were frozen, and it was a nasty day. It really was. And the groaning probably, gets a little more painful when it's super cold. When you're getting hit and things. Yeah. It just does. Yeah, it really does. But it's funny. You know what, Don? I found the tape. I don't know if it's still going to be able to watch, but I watched that. I don't remember almost anything from that game, but I watched the game and I'm like, oh my God, like, you know what? So in the fourth quarter, the score was like, I don't know, what was it? It was like 36-27 with about 3 minutes left. And we had the ball on Edmonton's 30 and we went for it on 3rd and 1, didn't get it. You know what I mean? Like, I just looked back and go, oh man, like, you know what? Like, some of the guys that had great games, I was like, Milson Jones had such a great game, and and Jeff Fairholm and Orville Lee had a great game. He had a great punt return for 58 yards. And it's funny, I look back at that tape. I didn't really, not to brag, I caused a fumble, or I covered a fumble, and I had a sack. I don't remember any of it.
Yeah,
I don't remember any of it.
That's a sign of playing 255 games. Like, you've played so many that, I can understand that. And, I felt after that game, you guys had won the Grey Cup the year before in 89, and I felt the team took the loss even harder than usual because you'd had a taste of that cup the year before. What do you think?
Well, I think so too, because, when I'm watching, actually, when I went through that game really quick, and I'm like, we had our chances. Like, we had our chances. Like, we really had our chances. Like, there was opportunities, but on both ways. Edmonton too. But both teams had their opportunity. We had chances to win that game. We really did. And it's like, man, when you look back, But it was quite the game. It's interesting because Tracy Ham that year had rushed for over 1,000 yards as a rusher. He was pretty dangerous. And. You just look. It was, and I guess I remember I watched this game. There was a ton of penalties. It was a
a dirty game, I thought.
It was a ton of penalties.
A lot of cheap stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and I guess during the regular season, both our teams were the least amount penalized teams in the league. But during that game, there was all these penalties. So it's kind of interesting. So,
well, Edmonton was mad because you had knocked them off, upset them.
Yeah.
The year before in the West Final, and they were mad, and they didn't want you guys to beat them, and you were proud because you were defending champs. So it's just the tempers were high and the emotions were high, I felt.
Yeah.
And you said it was cold. Normie Fong saved me. I came up in a blue jeans jacket. I would have frozen without Normie Fong giving me a jacket of some sort.
Well, in the field, the only parts that were clear because there was snow on the fields, they just cleared. They cleared the length, the width of the field. Just the width of the field, kind of on the like 10, 20, 30, 40 type thing, right? The rest was snow. Like, the footing was just terrible. It was awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just. But anyways, that You brought back some memories, Don. You brought
Yeah.
back some memories. Man.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were such a physical player. How are you now? Years later, is your body still okay after all of that pounding you took?
Well, I got some aches. It's just it's funny. I'll be 65 this year, and you got to this kind of terms with some of the things that are hurting. Like the two things that really, I guess for me, are my left ankle and my right knee, and I know ex-teammate, actually Matt Finley. He played with the Stampeders for 10 years, outside linebacker. Well, me and Matt were in Montreal so Calgary took Matt Finley in the dispersal draft. I ended up in Saskatchewan. Well, Matt just had an ankle replacement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I've been asking him, how's it feeling? Because I might need one. Yeah. So, yeah. So, otherwise I feel good, right? Like if I didn't have these aches and pains, man, I feel like, hey.
Well, you don't look anywhere close to 65. No, you don't. When I saw you at the coffee shop, I thought you could walk on the field tomorrow. Honestly, one of the worst experiences of my life, really, it must have been almost 40 years ago. I go to Hawaii. I end up running into you and Rick Goltz.
Yes.
In the prime of your career, Rick Goltz was about 6'5", 280, muscles on muscles, long blonde hair, tanned. And I would stand there with you two, and people would walk by, men and women both, and nobody looked at me. Nobody. Just at you two guys. You know what I mean? I was like the pencil neck. And I thought, I'm the invisible man. And I have to tell you, they mainly looked at Goltz because you second, but me not even at all. Yeah, but Goltz was just, oh my Lord. Anyway, yes, that was a low point for me when I was like a meaningless individual on the beach with two CFL football players. Now,
we were in our prime, though. We were in our prime. That's for sure.
Now, you of course left Regina for a number of years, Dan. I mean, now you're back in the community. You're a hardworking city councilor. Why did you come back to Regina?
Well, when I left, because I had two boys in Calgary, and I wanted to be close to them. So that's why we left. So my current wife, Laura, she came with me, and I promised her that we'll come back to Regina because her parents are here, and we had a daughter, and I wanted my daughter to get to know her grandparents. So that was that was it. Like, so I was working in Calgary. I was there for about 12 years, and then our president of our company came up to me and said, "Hey, what do you want?" I was like, "Whoa, there's my chance." And I said, well, because I was in the oil and gas industry, right? And people were jumping ship all over the place at the time. And, he didn't want to lose me, I guess. And I said, I want to live in Saskatchewan. And then he just looked at me and goes, why? I said, then I gave it to him, family. And then he's like, Jesus. He goes, how does he argue against that, right? I didn't care about money. I didn't want more money. I wanted to be close to family. And I wanted my daughter to have a relationship, and I mean that. So anyways, because my boys at that time were about 16, 17 years old, kind of jumping out of the nest more, so now I thought this was the right opportunity. And I love Saskatchewan. I do. I love Regina. You know what? It was the best thing that ever, when I came here and with that first group of guys and winning that Grey Cup, you know what? It meant something. It really did. We didn't want to, the team missed the playoffs for 11 years in a row. And I remember us talking about all that kind of stuff, and we wanted to change that. And, it's just, so it's been a great experience, and it's been great to be back, and I guess what I'll say about Regina, you know what? I just find life is easy here. It's easy to get around, to visit people, community. Like there's just it's kind of like having shepherd's pie. You know what? It's comfortable.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you said you love Regina. Was that one of the reasons that sort of led you to city politics?
Well, I got this coffee group I go to in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of guys that go to my coffee group, and we talk about everything, right? Like everything. And the background of everybody's pretty diverse. And, we're always talking and beaking off. And I guess, you know what? I figured if I'm going to keep complaining, then what? Do something, right?
Yeah.
Do something. You know what? But making that decision, I'll be honest with you, Don, like, it wasn't easy, man. It really wasn't. It was a hard decision, like, I was like, man, like, yeah, because once you're in, you're in. You know what? You don't want to be just doing half job, and that's typically not how I am. And I try to follow up with people. I mean, I've been trying. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yes. And I think you have to be in those shoes to even understand that. Do you not?
Yeah, it's a lot, and I'm feeling pretty good. You know what? I'm feeling pretty good, but I feel a good vibe in the city. I really do. I feel some energy. I feel it.
Yep. Well, speaking of a good vibe, let me see if I can talk you into something, because I'm a real supporter of this P3 private-public partnership that the soon-to-be new owners of the Regina Red Sox would like to explore. I was just talking to Al Simpson this morning, because he's my neighbor. I live 3 doors down. And, they want to talk, of course, to the city council and the mayor about building a new facility, baseball facility in the rail yards. It could be done as a P3 with little or no cost to the taxpayer, which is something we just haven't done in this city. Alberta does it all the time. And look where Alberta is compared to Saskatchewan in certain areas and certain facilities. Have you and your fellow city councilors and the mayor, have you discussed this at all? Has it come up?
It hasn't really come up yet. No, nothing. Okay. Nothing has come up with the baseball stadium. It's funny, but it's interesting. Like, hey, like I've been to Okotoks, like when I lived in Calgary,
there you go.
Hey, I've gone to Seaman Stadium. I've caught some games there.
Yeah.
I've been in their field house facility, which is right by it. Like when I lived in Calgary, I used to take my customers for lunch right by McMahon Stadium to go hit baseballs, because there's that white dome that you can hit balls and order a pizza.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome, eh?
Yeah.
It was good. But back to, that stadium, hey, I agree. We need a lot of these things. We need sometimes private investment.
Exactly.
You know what?
Yep.
We do. Like that's the catalyst, the stimulus. Like Seaman Stadium, like the family there, I guess that Seaman family donated or gifted $20.5 million. And I believe it's then another $2.5 million for the field house. So yeah, hey, I'm more than open, and I'd sure other councils be open to sit down and let's figure something out. And does it go in the yards? Hey, I don't know. Maybe that is the best spot. Does it? Is there enough room to put it at real? So
there
you
is.
have.
Well, there's extra room. Al told me. I know that.
Okay, so
there's extra room outside of the actual baseball park.
Yeah.
And it would revitalize downtown for such small cost.
Yeah.
For such small cost. Well, we're talking politics. I thought we'd be talking. But this is sports. It's a baseball facility, and I think it'd be great. Like they can't, the Curry Field is so outdated.
See,
and,
I think the idea with
the Red Sox there. What's that?
I'm not a baseball expert, but obviously in Okotoks they got the field house. Well, this field house obviously becomes quite a training facility for and creates activity in that area. Hopefully in that area to create more, right? Wherever you put it, right? Wherever you put it. So, we want to create some energy, right? Obviously, but again, it's a summer sport and it's only open 4 months a year. But with the field house,
I think they have different ideas on various things on that.
Okay.
I just we got to wrap up in time, but I do know one thing that I know you'd agree with, and we finally got a picture up of Dan Rashovich, and thank you to Curtis because of my texting error. There he is in 1990, and there he is. You just destroyed Garcia there on a tackle.
I was worried the refs would pull the flag.
What's that?
I was worried he's going to pull the flag. It looked like his hand was like,
He's
like a
looking.
holster.
He's looking.
Yeah, wasn't
Did he
sure.
pull the flag, or can you
No.
remember? Oh, there's another good shot by Curtis. You just
That was
stuffed
nice.
somebody at the goal line against Edmonton
That
here.
was West Final in '97 on the 1 yard line. I stuffed Burse.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
Henry-
what a game that was! We could talk about that game too.
Yeah.
That's what you got there, Curtis. That was a good job at the last minute. Well, congratulations on doing a great job and loving Regina, and also an outstanding. You deserve more credit than you've ever gotten for what a good football player you were, Dan. But thanks for joining us on Sportscage.
Don, nice seeing you, and thanks.
Okay, you bet. Sportscage continues in just a moment.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
A rolling stone gathers no moss? What a weird saying! Does it gather moss if it's not rolling? So many questions, but what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Pro Control tires. They're designed to wear evenly for crisp handling and engineered to take on water while maintaining grip. Ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper Pro Control tires today. They'll keep you rolling.
If you've got a Steelcraft garage door, you've got a door with parts manufactured and assembled right here in Canada. A door with better insulation and seal, plus a warranty you're probably never going to use. And if you don't have a Steelcraft garage door, you should get one. Don't just hang a door, install a Steelcraft. Turn curb appeal into curb envy.
Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door, Steelcraft door. We offer more.
Steel-craft.ca.
Did you know over 1.3 million homeowners call on Reliance for their water heater needs? With over 140,000 five-star online reviews and over 60 years experience, you could say Reliance Heath are water heater experts. Switch to Reliance Heath today. They'll give you $200 plus standard installation is included. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance. Visit waterheaterrentals.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
The certified pre-owned vehicle demand is high and our supply is low. We need your trade-in at Capital GMC. We have 180 certified pre-owned vehicles to choose from. Be sure to check out employee pricing on all pre-owned vehicles, with rates as low as 4.99 for up to 60 months on select GM certified vehicles. And a great selection, plus 150 plus point inspection and roadside assistance. Capital GMC is the GM certified pre-owned vehicle destination at the corner of Rochdale and Pasqua in Regina, where we go the extra mile and so do our vehicles.
Hey, I just got Wi-Fi down here.
Oh, just down there in the corner by your mouse hole in the wall?
It's from Glasser's TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer. You should get it too.
I do. My entire house here is blanketed in fast, reliable Wi-Fi while getting security and safety tools to help me manage my connected home.
It covers all that space up there?
It sure does. In fact, I have enough to cover your space down there too, if I wasn't planning on setting a trap for you.
Oh.
Contact Glasser's TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Moosomin today.
Welcome back to Sportscage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sportscage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
And Don Hewitt back with Sportscage, filling in with the Big Cheese, the head host, Barney Shinkirk. I just call him Barney. I think of him just as Barney, like, Sharky. Anyway, Barney's back on Monday. Don't forget the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation 50-50 draw. Plenty of exclusive getaways and unique experiences are up for grabs. Lots of sports trips and travel destinations. There's a new early bird draw to be won every game, of course, Calgary and Saskatchewan on Friday night. A variety of different ticket packs to buy. Buy your tickets online at riders5050.ca. Mark Stephen has been the voice of the Calgary Stampeders on QR77 for 29 years, but it should be 30 because of a wasn't for COVID, he would have made 30. And right now, Mark he's got to be smiling a bit. Last night in the CFL, Calgary destroys, and I mean destroys Winnipeg 37-16. It was 29-6 at halftime. I thought the 37-16 final actually flattered Winnipeg. Both teams now at 3-1, so a huge showdown Friday night. 3-1 Calgary here against 4-0 Saskatchewan. And Mark, the first thing that's really unique, I'd say, Vernon Adams. How do you do this with how dominant Winnipeg has been in the last 5 years, winning the West for 5 years straight? Vernon Adams has a winning record against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he does it again, a couple of touchdown passes, and it was masterful, I thought, in his play calling.
I agree. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah, the first half especially, I thought he was just as dominant as anybody. He was really good, and I can't exactly explain it. I mean, he's played for some good teams in BC and Montreal before coming here, but no, he was just sensational, and everything was working for him. He was right on target. I think at one time he was like 9 of 11 with 2 touchdown passes, something like that. It was just amazing. It was just really exciting to see him, and that's what he's brought here for.
And not only did he throw the ball well, he got a lot of running support. Like I haven't seen a team run against Winnipeg that well for quite a while. Meanwhile, Adam Bighill is dressed in red watching it. So, I mean, it was a great night for your running game.
Overall, the ground game has been very good. It's probably been the one area that's been the most consistent through the first 4 games. Dedrick Mills is racking up big yards. Obviously, yes. You can see Vernon Adams' escapability. He's done very well. Jeshurun Antwi didn't play this week, had a bit of an ankle injury, not considered real serious, but he didn't play. So they'll be even stronger when they come in and play the Riders next week. But the line has played very well, but the backs have been really solid. So that was just a continuation of the trend through the first 4 games.
Now, Bob Slowick took over your defense. He was in the NFL, I think, for 10 years, a decade. He had a great defense in 2019, I believe it was, in Montreal. Your new defensive coordinator, and he is doing a bang-up job. I mean, this looks like a completely different defense, Mark. There's more blitzing. The defensive backs are more aggressive. How much credit does he get? I mean, obviously, they've got some good ball players, including I believe 3 former Roughriders on the defense, but this guy is he's cooking as your D coordinator.
Oh, for sure. First of all, he's really experienced. I mean, when they decided they needed a new coordinator, I mean, he obviously had the deepest resume of anybody that would have talked to about the job, because you're right, he is 70, so there was some concern about whether he'd want to do it, but he did want to do it, and he does have the experience, but you're right, it's a completely new defense. Many players either aren't in football or are scattered all over the place because they just had to make changes after a 5-win season last year. And, obviously it's paid off so far. I think they've been really good, and the secondary has really played well, considering, again, it is almost entirely new. Their halfbacks are raw rookies. Richardson on one corner doesn't have a lot of experience. Green does, and the safety Webb has experience. But in general, there's not a lot of experience there.
Well, another thing, too, that I was impressed about is how many times Zach Claros, the quarterback for the Blue Bombers, got hit just as he threw. I mean, he was always getting up.
And he was forced to make a lot of throws at times when he didn't want to make throws, and rushed a lot of throws. And, the Stampeders, they saw something, particularly in the secondary, because they did intercept those 2, which were amazing, but they were right around the receivers on a constant basis and making life tough, not only for him, but for the receivers as well. And there's Webb, but that was a remarkable play. Obviously, They saw something, and he just sprinted to the end zone. So, yeah, that's, they just saw something on Claros, who clearly is one of the best ever, but he just wasn't on his game last night.
Yes, Webb, a former Rough Rider as well. Now, I really like the fact that they moved Webb to safety. He seems to be flourishing there, does he not?
Yes, he does, and it's a bit of it wasn't the intended position for him, because they started from last year, Bentley Saunders, but he really, since about the first week of camp, hasn't been able to do anything because of a reoccurring hamstring injury. So he's been plugged in there, and I agree with you. I think he's done really well, and when Sanders does come back, and that's still a couple weeks away at least, I don't know where he fits in, to be honest, or what happens after that, because it's working right now.
Well, I mean, bulletin to Dave Dickinson. I wouldn't move him anywhere after that.
I kind of agree. It is really working. Yeah, I'm with you. It's I'd say probably not what they intended, but it's worked out very well. And he's a leader back there. Him and Moncrief are the two sort of defensive leaders, because somebody had to step up. To a certain extent in the back end, because they're all highly unfamiliar with each other. But although they do have a lot of experience.
Well, Derek Moncrief is very well known here in Saskatchewan and Regina, not only because he was a former Rough Rider, but he's also a bit of a celebrity with his car wash commercials. You don't live here, but his wife's parents own a big car wash in town, and Derek and his little child are always on television. So I think people like to sort of still cheer for Derek. He's highly thought of as an individual in this community still. But, you watch him, and his pick six was outstanding. But it looks like he's lost weight. He's faster.
Well, he is very fast, yeah, and he's, again, kind of having to lead some linebackers back there, because he's got the most experience. Micah Tights is there, but also they lost their starting middle linebacker. Mark Al Lee is in the middle, but he's gone for an extended period, so that's why they had to go out and get a couple of linebackers. But no, he's fit right in. Huge personality. He's been talking about his child, who is in Regina on a regular basis. Child arrived, I guess, roughly a month ago, and if he's a big personality, I can understand it, because he's showing signs of that here, and a very likable guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you see him constantly on the news washing somebody's car. But anyway,
he's kidding about that. Man. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, last year, let's be honest, your defense versus the run was a turnstile. I mean, anybody could run against you, and I know during the offseason, Dave Dickinson said that was a major concern and they had to beef up. And I really like the fact that you guys picked up Miles Brown from Saskatchewan. Once the Riders picked up Mike, Rose.
Rose trade.
Yeah, the trade, right? Almost like a trade. And they're such different defensive tackles. One's got a skill set totally different from another. Brown is a plugger at 320. Mike Rose is lighter, but, he can tackle outside of the box. He's got more mobility, so you can argue about that. But, I really thought that he's part of it, but you guys are stacking up the run so much better. What are all the reasons for that, do you think?
Well, one of them, you identified it. They've got more bulk on the inside, and that is by design. As I say, Mike Rose has a lot of skills, but they signed Miles Brown for his run-stopping ability. There's a guy that the coaches are high on. Maybe he hasn't got a lot of attention, but 96 Hutchings, real big run stopper in there. The Pro Football Focus people took notice and gave him very high grades for the first month of the season. They've also got some people returning, Justin Sambu. And, of course, off the end, they brought in Flo Ormalad. He's not an inside guy, but he's the leader on that line. He keeps the guys out after practice, working with them. He's amazing for Flo. And, they paid a heavy price to get him, because I think Cam Judge is a really good player. But that's what they needed. So those two guys on the inside have done a really good job, and they've plugged up the middle. They're doing very well, and they've got some guys in reserve that have also done very well. So it was a point of emphasis for sure, because you're right, there were just too many yards. And, I know I get it all the time. Well, how come they release this guy, that guy? Look, I'm not hanging on any one guy, but they weren't good enough. Right. They were 5-12-1, and things have to change.
Right. Now, it was funny, we were watching the game last night, and the first thing my wife says about, I don't know when TSN showed him on the sidelines, but Adam Bighill looks really strange in red. Anyway.
Yes, he does.
but he looks like he's in really good shape, and he looks like the old tough cookie that Adam Bighill is. Of course, he's still working on his injury, working on some strength with the folks with the Stampeders. When do you think Adam Bighill will be in the lineup? Will he be here Friday night against Saskatchewan? Would he be dressing, do you think?
I think that's really a long shot. I wouldn't think so, because you mentioned he's coming off of that serious knee issue that he had, the ACL surgery last year, and he hasn't had a training camp. I mean, these guys, the Riders and the Stamps, are all 2 months into their season, so he's a little bit behind, but he's still a block of granite. I got to tell you that. He's an amazing-looking guy. I got to say, the players just gravitate to him. It's unbelievable for a guy who's been here about 6 days. The players just gravitate to him. They talk to him. He talks to them. It's he's just plugged right in. But physically, no, he's not quite there. But here's a delicious story. It wasn't planned this way, but I think he could make his debut on July 18th when the Stampeders are in Winnipeg.
Wow.
I would think that's the earliest. I wouldn't completely rule it out. Let's put it this way. That's the earliest, and I think it's a reasonable possibility. We'll just monitor his progress. They've got the weekend off. I'm sure he'll be doing some work, and then I think this week they'll ramp up his workload, but I just don't think he's ready for a game. Dave Dickinson said it's not us pushing him to get on the field; it's the other way around. They have to save Adam Bighill from himself. So, but yes, he will play, and the earliest, a great storyline that writes itself. Adam Bighill returns to Winnipeg. Could happen.
Yeah, that will be big. Now, I really liked what I saw last night. I mean, Quick Six was busy with Pick Six, if I can say. Quick Six, of course, being the Stampeder horse. I don't like the Stampeder horse when they're playing the Riders, but I like the Stampeder horse against any other team. But what I saw was a decent crowd, not a bad crowd. You'd like a few more there, but still not bad. But the really cool thing was how boisterous, happy, excited, loud they were. And after that shellacking of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I think, did you feel it that maybe there's going to be some re-energized Stampeder fans in the city?
Oh, I would think so. It was a sensational atmosphere. You're right about that. It was heavily hyped all week, the game. That trophy attracted a lot of attention. It's kind of a very unique trophy. It was made by the people who actually made the Four Nations trophy, so it was really good that way.
Really?
No, it's a big deal. They put a lot of effort behind this. Brett Michaels was tremendous. He was really good and really got into it. In fact, they almost had to boot him off the stage. He was just going so hard and long. Players were all kind of standing there saying, well, who's going to be the guy that tells them this to leave? But no, he got right into it. You're right. The crowd was energized. That had a playoff feel vibe to it as far as I was concerned. It was just a noisy, boisterous crowd, and it was a really nice night. Mind you, we deserved a good day after the prior home game. That game against Ottawa. So it was a debacle, but had to play it. So.
Well, I like the idea of the Stampede Bowl. Of course, I think it officially starts today, but the tents were open yesterday. I'll never see one son for 4 days. He'll be in those tents 24/7. Anyway, but I like the idea because I mean the Banjo Bowl is done well. The Banjo Bowl has become, famous in its own right within the CFL. And why not have a Stampede Bowl? And interestingly enough, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to be in both. I guess they attract attention, or what do they do?
Yeah, no, it was a really good idea, and they had to pair up with the Stampede. Okay, you can't do this on your own, and there's a bunch of reasons, and something probably that was long overdue. But the Stampede and the Stampeders got together, and it became the real key is this became an official Stampede event, not just a CFL game. And look, the Stampeders have their great following, but it's a regional following. The Stampede is a worldwide phenomenon. And, the Stampede got their muscle behind it and told people about it and everything. And that brought out people that, barely know where Canada is, never mind the CFL. And they were there. So, but it's really, really well done. And, they'll build on that because it was just a great game. Lots of great hype. The Stampede was there helping out. And it was just almost a playoff style night as far as I was concerned, even though it's July the 3rd.
You bet. Now, there it is. Look at that! The exciting presentation of the
I'll be flow lifted,
Stampede Bowl. Yeah, it's a nice trophy. Now, if you could, Curtis, could you get that graphic for us? Because the Winnipeg Blue Bomber social media team did a heck of a funny and entertaining graphic. I think I sent it to you, and it just having a good sense of humor, I think, is win or lose. People love it. And they appreciate it. And it's particularly when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers haven't lost much for quite a while. But they put up a graphic, and Curtis is getting it right away. And it's right there where they say Winnipeg X Stampeder logo final. No score, just Winnipeg fans at McMahon, at the very bottom in tiny, weeny little letters, Google it.
Well, at least they made light of it because, it hasn't happened often, like you said. But the Bombers were spanked pretty good last night. Let's not kid anybody. So, yeah, good for them to at least seeing it. There was no time for making excuses or anything or pointing fingers. They lost. They'll win far more than they lose this year, but that was not them at their best.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're never going to take Winnipeg for granted at any time. And there's another one of your pick sixes there.
Well, I'll just tell you at halftime when we were going to the break, I just said it was, the score's 29-6, but I said, nobody rest. Let's not forget who they're up against.
That's right.
I didn't take it for granted until that play you just showed there. That's when I realized that the tide had completely turned.
Well, we were pretty much out of time, but quite a run of games you got. I mean, you host Winnipeg, you come to Saskatchewan, then you go to Winnipeg, and it's going to be very interesting.
Montreal.
Right, that's right. So you got 4 games.
This is the gauntlet. This is the gauntlet right here. Yeah. This will go a long way to deciding the Stampeders season because they're running the gauntlet, and they got Winnipeg twice, like you say, then the Riders in Montreal. So it's off to a good start, but a lot more work to do. Can they play Giant Killer one more time and knock another team out of the unbeaten? I guess we'll see.
We'll find out Friday night. Anyway, that's great. Thanks a lot, Mark, for joining us on Sportscage. Sportscage continues in just a moment.
It's the start of a new year. Time to get financially fit. If you're looking to open an RRSP or a TFSA, maximize an existing account, or update your investment mix, Cooperators can provide the personalized advice and service you need. Want to start the new year on the right financial foot? Contact your local advisor to build a plan that works for you. Cooperators, investing in your future together.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
Don't miss Jason Aldean at Country Thunder, Saskatchewan. Single-day tickets are available now. Spend July 11th with Jason Aldean, Nate Smith, and Tim Hicks. Or make it 4 days and see Def Leppard, Bailey Zimmerman, and so many more. Country Thunder, Saskatchewan. In Craven, July 10th to 13th. Single day and weekend passes are available at countrythunder.com.
Tune in for your chance to win big with Access Communications Children's Fund TV Bingo every Saturday at 5 with a prize board between $7,000 and $15,000. Cards are $14 with all proceeds going to the Access Communications Children's Fund. Watch and play every Saturday at 5 for your chance to win TV Bingo only on Access Now TV. This week's jackpot is $2,000 in 50 numbers or less.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance Heath today.
Well, it's obvious what our sports ticker is going to be for the good folks at Reliance right now. It is hot off the press sort of thing. Joey Chestnut, well, they brought him back into the Nathan's hot dog eating contest because they had to. Nobody cared if Joey Chestnut wasn't in the particular contest. And so he was going earlier today for his 17th mustard belt. A lot of intrigue as to whether he could do it. The 17th mustard belt on Coney Island. And guess what, folks? He didn't disappoint. 70.5 hot dogs. That's the wiener and the bun. 70.5 immortalized for his 17th mustard belt. Our own technical producer, Curtis Gammon, was also once in a hot dog eating contest. Please tell us about that, Curtis.
Hold up. Got to get my microphone over here. Yeah. you like my hot dog eating story?
Yes,
there,
I
Don?
did.
All
I
right,
did like it.
So we were talking off air about Joey Chestnut, and we were kind of joking that it's like, oh, do you think you could do 70, Curtis? I was like, no way. I did a hot dog eating contest once in my life, and it didn't end well. I only got to 13. So I'm a bit bigger than I was when I was a wee little lad eating the hot dogs in a hot dog eating contest. But you know what? I feel like I could probably do less than 13 now, actually, Don. I'd probably tap out at like 5. I just feel like garbage.
Well, how does a guy do 70.5? He trains, but how do you train doing that? Like what? How? You just eat, throw up, then eat, throw up? That's the training, or what's the course of events for training for this?
You know what? I heard an interview about how he trains once. I think he was actually talking when he was in town for Queen City X. I know he was talking with like Mark Johnston with Play 92, our sister station, and I remember he was talking about how he doesn't like eat he like fasts before any kind of eating competition.
Oh, okay.
And one of the big things is just like water, water to get it all down.
Oh, okay.
And and then I think I also saw another interview with him where he was talking about the hot dogs have to be warm. If the hot dogs are cold, he can't do it. And the buns can't be dry. So got to be nice, moist buns, lots of water, right temperature to break the record.
Well, he'd know. He's an expert. There's no doubt about it. Mark, by the way, does a great job as a host of the Rider Games. He's really good on the big screen. And don't forget the Saskatchewan Roughrider Foundation 50-50 draw. And this week's early bird prize, an AC/DC concert package in Scotland, includes flights for 2 from Saskatchewan to Edinburgh, 4 nights hotel accommodation, 2 tickets to see AC/DC on August 21st, tour from Edinburgh to Loch Ness, or a day trip to the Scottish Highlands. I'd go see Loch Ness because he exists. He's there. You can go see him. Round-trip transfers from airport to hotel or take $8,500 cash. Deadline is Wednesday, July 9th. Riders 5050.ca. And we'll be back with Sportscage in just a moment.
Been there, done that. We get it. And we've got something great for you. The Great Bin Giveaway on 620 CKRM. We're giving you the chance to win a 100-ton fertilizer bin from Core Grain. All you have to do is be listening to find out which sponsor locations you can enter at, all across southern Saskatchewan. You'll also have some chances to qualify during Saskag Today with Ryan Young. The grand prize draw will take place at Ag in Motion this July. Don't miss out on your chance to have a shot at the Great Bin Giveaway.
Brought to you by Ag Direct Hail Insurance, Zipperlock Building Company, McDougall Auctioneers, Redvers Agricultural Supply, and 620 CKRM.
We are here to install your fence.
You fellas aren't from around here, are ya?
Some company from another planet may have taken down-to-earth fencing a little too literal. The actual down-to-earth fencing in Regina supplies and installs Canadian-made PVC fence, even if you live out of town. They take pride in doing it right the first time, ensuring that every post is 4 feet in ground, so your fence stands strong for decades. Visit downtoearthfencing.com for a quote today. Down to Earth Fencing, the most logical choice.
There's fun you have and fun you remember. At the Queen City X, presented by SaskTel, it's not just a fair, it's where memories are made. Timeless rides, shared joy, that thrilling moment when the lights flicker on and you feel like a kid again. We're celebrating all things Canadian, from a brand new Midway to homegrown acts on the original 16 stage. July 30th to August 3rd. Tickets on sale now at queencityx.ca. Follow QCX on socials to stay up to date.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here, on Carry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Hey, we're Harvard Media. A few times a year, we love to get together with our favorite businesses and throw a good old-fashioned classic auction. There's nothing like waiting until the last minute, battling out other bidders, and claiming your prize. We're looking for businesses to join up for our next one. All we need from you is an experience, service, or item like a gift card. In return, we'll serve you up a top-tier ad campaign. No cash needed. This is a trade deal. Check out harvardmedia.com for info. Terms and conditions apply.
If you have a garage door that's running a little rough, you should really have Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists, come out and repair it, or it may need to be replaced altogether. Yeah, just call Busy Bee Doors, the local experts who have been in the business for many, many years, because they can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Honey, calling Busy Bee.
Good idea. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
This is 620 CKRM Regina, the voice of Saskatchewan, a Harvard Media station, streaming everywhere at 620ckrm.com.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News. Justice Minister Tim MacLeod is demanding answers from Ottawa about why Rhonda Blackmore was suddenly removed as the RCMP's commanding officer in Saskatchewan. The minister's office says it was caught off guard and disappointed by the decision. Blackmore was replaced in early June by an interim leader. Reports say Blackmore told others that she was let go because of anonymous complaints, but was quickly hired for a new national RCMP position. There were more arrests in a Regina murder case. RCMP were called out on June 10th after a body was found in a rural area. The victim was 35-year-old Aaron Lunan. Investigators later determined the case actually started in Regina, so the city's police took over. Earlier this week, 24-year-old Britton Volk was charged with first-degree murder, and now two more arrests. Patrick Akapew, 30, and Tyler Wayne Edwards, 38, are also facing the same charge. They both made an appearance in provincial court in Regina this morning. Indian Head RCMP are investigating a deadly single-vehicle rollover that happened on Grid Road 606 south of Sintoluta on July 3rd. A 51-year-old man from Carry the Kettle, Nakota Nation died in hospital after the crash. Another person in the vehicle was taken to hospital with serious injuries. Local fire crews, EMS, and a collision reconstructionist are helping with the ongoing investigation. The Federal Minister of Indigenous Services says her government plans to reintroduce legislation to ensure First Nations rights to clean drinking water, despite calls from Alberta and Ontario to scrap it altogether.
Two provincial environment ministers sent a letter to their federal counterpart this week calling on Prime Minister Mark Carney's government to abandon legislation they see as undermining competitiveness and delaying project development. In an emailed statement, a spokesperson for Indigenous Services Minister Mandy Golmasti said everyone in Canada should have access to clean drinking water. The National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations has been vocal in her desire for the bill to be reintroduced, telling the Canadian press after the election parliamentarians played political games with the lives of First Nations children. Alessia Pasifumi, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
The federal government is in talks with mining giant Rio Tinto about helping the company cope with the fallout from United States tariffs.
Industry Minister Melanie Joly says Ottawa kicked off talks earlier this week with Rio Tinto to see if the federal government can help with cash flow problems related to U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum. Rio Tinto is one of the world's largest mining and metals companies with thousands of employees in Canada. Joly confirmed the talks on a visit to Saguenay, Quebec on Thursday, where Rio Tinto has billion-dollar plans to expand its local aluminum smelter. U.S. President Donald Trump last month doubled his administration's global tariffs on steel and aluminum to 50%, but Canada is waiting until later this month to respond. Craig Lord, The Canadian Press, Ottawa.
And a University of Regina research team has uncovered new clues about how dinosaurs healed from injuries by studying the famous Tyrannosaurus rex named Scotty. Using powerful X-rays at the Canadian Light Source, scientists looked inside one of Scotty's rib bones and found preserved blood vessel structures. They also saw a healed fracture, likely from a fight. Researchers say these clues help us learn how dinosaurs recovered from injuries and how their bodies worked millions of years ago. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Pack up the car with Beach Day Essentials from the Summer Savings Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's. Save 40% on the new Bass Pro Shops Sun Shelter, offering shade wherever you set up for the day. It's easy to assemble and comes with stakes and convenient carry bag. If it's the sun you're craving, float the day away on an Intex novelty inflatable. You'll save 40%. Find more deals like this at the Summer Savings Sale, on now at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.
You don't go to Country Thunder to see your favorite artist. You go to Country Thunder to see all your favorite artists. Country Thunder Saskatchewan returns with Def Leppard, Jason Aldean, Bailey Zimmerman, plus Nate Smith, Tyler Hubbard, Kip Moore, Tim Hicks, and so many more. Guarantee your spot. Country Thunder Saskatchewan, July 10th to 13th in Craven. Tickets at countrythunder.com.
Precision Weather brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McQuarters Street. A high of 26 today, sunny. Winds north-northwest 20 to 35, gusting a bit higher. Precipitation chance is 0. The low tonight is 12, partly cloudy. The wind dying down a little bit, north-northwest 15 to 25 kilometers an hour.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McQuarters Street.
When you're on the road, don't forget, our Cola Co-op is your home away from home. And they're now your liquor store away from home, too. Attached to the gas bar and convenience store is their 500 square foot walk-in beer cooler, with a wide variety of wine and spirits, too. Heading to the lake or out camping, make our Cola Co-op your one-stop shop. Grab your beer, ice, fuel, snacks, and even hot chicken all in one place. Our Cola Co-op, you're at home here.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
That's Don Hewitt back with Sports Cage, filling in for Barney. Barney will be in his usual Sports Cage big chair on Monday when the Roughriders get back to work before Friday's game at Mosaic Stadium against the 3-1 Calgary Stampeders. The Roughriders undefeated. And a lot of hype that's going to build up next week for that football game. It's going to be very exciting, to say the least. Don't forget to text us at 1-866-936-6262. We'll get some texts read by Curtis shortly. Text line brought to you by Prairie Land Rental and Sales. From skid steers to power tools, anything you need to rent for the summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street. Well, one of our favorite Rough Rider experts, Jack Newman, now joins us on Sports Cage. Jack's always got some interesting opinions. He lives, but he's got a green shirt on, and he's from Saskatoon. But he lives only a block from McMahon Stadium. Jack, did you hear all the cheering last night from McMahon in your backyard?
Yeah, it was. I did, Don. I was going to go to the game, but I decided not to. I got watching the Blue Jay game against the Yankees,
Yeah.
and I didn't wander up, but I could hear it. I can always tell what the crowd is like because I can hear the noise, and also where I live, about 3-4 blocks from the stadium. Depends how many cars are parked in front of my house, and it was they had a very good crowd last night. You know, it was the first ever Stampede Bowl, and they announced 24,000 24,500 somewhere in there. Whether there were 24,500 there or not, I don't know. I'm not, because I wasn't there, and I'm very good. I'm not very good at estimating crowds to begin with. But you know something, Don. Today was the start of the Stampede, and they had the Stampede parade. And the way Calgary played last night, I think they might be planning a Grey Cup parade.
It's cool. Okay, Stampede parade to Grey Cup parade.
Yeah, at least they got a route planned, anyways. But one game doesn't make for a season. But I watched. But Winnipeg was full mark. Calgary was full marks for that win. They played great football, and I was reading the quote by O'Shea after the game, and he was playing. He was blunt and simple. We got our butts handled to us in every facet of the game, and you got to give Calgary full marks, and that sets up a real big football game in Regina next week because it's essentially it's a very critical game, Don. As you and I were talking off the air this morning, Calgary plays Saskatchewan only twice this year. So, with them only playing twice, points for and against might be a big factor if they split the series. That's just the way the schedule is, and it is what it is. And right now, Saskatchewan is 4-0. So Calgary is 3-1. Saskatchewan wins that game on next week. They go to 5-0, and they got a 2-game lead over Calgary. Plus, they have the 1 win over Calgary. If Saskatchewan loses, it's going to be wide open for who's going to be first place. There's going to be 3 teams with 1 loss: Winnipeg, Calgary, and Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it's interesting for this early in the season. I don't recall lately as big a game as what we're going to have Friday night at Mosaic Stadium, Jack. For those very reasons, I was going to go back to attendance, though. I mean, the good news for the Stampeders was the fans were very enthusiastic and loud, and I thought they were very enthusiastic and loud at the last Rough Rider game against the BC Lions. There's a lot of rider pride seeming to sort of be quite noticeable just in the decibel levels. What you heard sitting in the stands, it was loud, and that's great to hear. But you know, the numbers seem to be coming back in the stands. Ottawa didn't have a bad crowd the other day either, but June seems to be a problem for the CFL, Jack, is for attendance. So what I've noticed the last few years, do you think is June too early to start playing football? And I don't know what the solutions are either. I'm not saying I have. What do you think?
Absolutely, Don. Completely agree with you. June is a very busy month in a lot of areas. Number one, you have exams for students at every level of school: junior high, elementary, high school. You've got graduations at every level: university, junior high, high school. You've got teachers all busy. June is the busiest month for teachers. They're grading exams. They're going to decide who's promoted and who isn't promoted. You've got the hockey playoffs on, which I fully agree they go too long, but you're not going to change that. You got to live with it. And right now, you've had a Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final the last couple of years. And one of that Canadian team is from Western Canada. Like it or not, the Oilers have been in the Stanley Cup final. Now, I wonder, and that's going to take away people's interests. And also, I'm going to play devil's advocate here too. I wonder how much would be interested in the Stanley Cup final if it was San Jose versus Carolina.
Yeah, nobody.
But right now we got another thing that is going on is that people in the May and June have yard chores to do and domestic things and things like that. They're getting things done before they go away on holidays. So there's another reason. Another reason is the Blue Jays are going pretty good right now, and it's baseball season.
Doesn't help.
And so that is all taking into the equation why people aren't going. And then another thing, and there's another factor, most people have kids. And those kids are in their spring sports activities, and they're winding up their seasons. There's a spring football league in Calgary. I don't know whether there is one in Regina, but there are spring football leagues in Calgary. There's spring baseball, spring soccer, spring women's gals field hockey, and all that stuff. So all that stuff is being played in June, and they're winding up their playoffs. I live near a baseball field, as you know, and that place is going all the time right now in June. In July, no one's there unless they're hosting a Canadian championship or a Prairie championship.
It's a tough nut to crack because, I mean, the Grey Cup, I believe it's November 16th in Winnipeg, and they move it up because obviously weather concerns, particularly on the prairies. They have Grey Cups on the prairies because they're always supported so well, so you understand that part of it. You know, everything you said is true, but I also don't know how you change it or how you fix it because of where you have to play the Grey Cup if you're playing it in a city like Winnipeg, and now you're going to have it in Calgary. And I'm just saying it's you're right about. I agree 100% what you said about June, but I don't know what the answer is. I guess I'll put it that way.
Well, I think you should be going at least 1 week later, or maybe even 2 weeks later. You don't need 3 buys per team. You can get by with only 2 buys per team.
I think they went to 2. I could be wrong, but anyway, they still have 2 buys.
And then here's another thing: you don't know what the weather's going to be. There's been times where you've had a bit. Well, let's go back to the Ottawa game in Calgary here 2 weeks ago. It was pouring rain with gale-force winds. And I'll tell you something right now, players would rather play in snow than play in wet weather. I'd rather sit in a game with snow. You bundle up, you make do with it. Rain is awful, and it's you don't know what the weather's going to be. As a good friend of mine, who you've heard me talk about, the late Keith Jackson, said,
"Yeah,
Calgary's the only city that can host the Winter Summer Olympics at the same darn time and get away with it."
Keith Jackson, the legendary college
and you never know what the weather's going to be like. I've seen university games, I've seen Stampeder games, and being played in horrible conditions in early October. Yet at the end of November, it's beautiful out. You don't know what the weather's going to be. Like, I mean, they could have a great weather day in Winnipeg this year and a great weather day in Calgary.
Oh.
You never know. So that's football. You play football, you deal with it. You play in the elements.
That's right. And I think the elements are very entertaining, whether it's sometimes rain or snow. It's fun to watch. But we only have 2 minutes left, Jack. So what are your thoughts? I mean, the Riders are undefeated. Despite having quite a few injuries, they're undefeated. You got about 1:30 to tell us about what you like or don't like with the Roughriders.
Well, they can't be better than what they are right now. They're 4-0 and without some pretty good players, especially on offense. Schaefer, Baker, Emelis, and Bain at receiver, Sean McEwen at offensive line. So they're really playing. They're doing great in that phase. The problem is this: they're still taking too many penalties, lack of discipline, and eventually that's going to get you in a tight football game. Lawler's been inconsistent, but they're 4-0, and he seems to have turned it around the last game. So I'm not going to – it's hard to be a negative Norman, as our friend John Lynch would say, when you're 4-0. But I think you and I agree that they are taking too many undisciplined penalties, and you're going to get the holding and PI and all that stuff. It's the rough play. It's the illegal procedure, offsides, those unsportsmanlike penalties. Those are the ones they got to clean up. And I honestly think Corey's going to get that cleaned up. But
I think he will. I mean, it happened last year, and Corey got it cleaned up. I have tremendous faith in Corey as the head coach. Like, I really do. If there's a problem, I just know he's going to solve it. He's going to get to the bottom of it and solve it. Where earlier, before he came, you weren't so sure whether it would get solved. But with Corey Mace, he gets it solved. And I guess that's the good news, is that we've got a great head coach, and there's no doubt about it. He's a head coach.
This is. It sounds strange, but 5 games into the season, this is a watershed game for both football teams.
Yeah, it is so early. Thanks a lot for joining us, Jack. And I want to tell everybody about yards. I haven't seen a weed in Jack's yard. If there's a weed, it doesn't last long. You have a beautiful yard. So
Well, thanks,
we'll give you
John.
a plug for that.
Thanks, Professor. Always nice talking to you, and we'll be in touch.
You bet, Jack. Thanks a lot. Sports Cage will continue in just a moment.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
We'll look back at some of the big shakers and movers of the country music scene. Some cats reinvented themselves, others, they did what works for them the best. We'll feature the top 25 on your Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits, 620 CKRM.
Karen explains why she is comfortable investing her money with Brian Golly of Smart Investing Solutions.
I don't have to worry about it. Once I do it, I know it's looked after, and I have seen good success as well in our investment. He's very knowledgeable, he's very trustworthy, and he wants the best for his clients.
Don't guess with your money. Call Brian at 306-546-2533. SmartInvestingSolutions.ca.
Hey, let's hit up Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Pump? You talking about my basketball shoes?
No, Pump Jack's Cathedral.
Who?
Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. They're open now. They've got a large selection of local draft and food and drink specials. Kids are allowed until 8. There's live entertainment every weekend.
Let's go. I'm pumped.
On the corner of Albert and 13th, Pump Jack's Cathedral Saloon and Steakhouse. Come early, stay late. The place where friends meet.
This is where we play. This is where we live. Extreme Hockey and Sport is where we shop when we need the gear for our game in our town. Hockey is in our blood as much as the Prairies themselves. Extreme Hockey and Sport understands this. That's why they provide the Saskatchewan Stars of tomorrow only the best. Every level, any budget, expert fit. They're your local sit and fit hockey shop. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, Regina's Hockey Shop.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
Get it hot and get it fast, Western Pizza.
Some say the number 13 is bad luck, like walking under a ladder. Well, 13 is a very lucky number when you're talking Western Pizza, like their delicious 13-inch pepperoni from Western Pizza. That makes it, well, the luckiest number of all. Western Pizza, big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast, Western Pizza.
Proven by countless farmers, 900 Series fence sprayers set the standard for your crops, and it's available at Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Featuring 370 horsepower, 132-foot boom, 1,580-gallon tank, smart drive 4-wheel steering, and liquid logic recirculating boom, the 900 Series fence sprayers are backed by a 3-year, 2,000-hour Gold Star warranty. Leaders drive Fendt. To learn more about making your crops successful, visit Nick's Service today. nicksservice.com.
Welcome back to Sportscage. Connect with the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262.
And it's Don Hewitt back with Sportscage. You know, anyone that drives to Calgary and back to attend a Rough Rider game and does it all season deserves to be on the Sports Cage. I refer to Ron Taylor, formerly of Regina, now living in Calgary. Seems like we're in Calgary a lot. That was just a fluke this show. Who's he and his wife, Deb McDaniel, unless there's something crazy going on with another trip that they go on somewhere, they actually drive to Regina back to Calgary for almost all the home games. And how long have you been doing that? There you are. How long have you been doing that with your wife? How long?
Well, we've been doing the drives, I guess, consistently since 2013. So
I was doing a little bit of a research just today, and I think we've hit our 100th driving trip this season. So, it works out to about 1,500 kilometers round trip each time. So I'm up to 150,000, Deb and I. So,
holy cow! So you started it in the year they won the Grey Cup. So at that time, it seemed like good luck, I suppose. Keep doing it.
Well, I guess so. It seemed to be good luck at the time. Deb was a rider fan a little bit anyway, but we ended up getting tickets right behind the BC bench for the Western semifinal, and she immediately fell in love with watching all the stuff going on the bench there. And after that, she's a bigger fan than I am for sure.
So, what is it about the experience at Mosaic that keeps you going, and really such a time and money sacrifice that you and your wife make?
Well, it's just I think it's the atmosphere more than anything. I've been a rider fan since I was a little kid. I was baptized by John Badham's father, who used to be the old Rough Rider play-by-play guy.
Really?
And I was actually looking at some family history, and my great grandfather was working down White Bear Lake. He went down south. And actually, in his memoirs, he's mentioned he was a rough rider moving horses between state to state. So my great-grandfather was a rough rider back in 1875.
Yeah, well, John Badham, by the way, was the brother-in-law of Dale Isaac, the legendary announcer. So that was interesting. Now, what are some of the...
that part I didn't know.
Yeah, sort of some of the unique stories that you can tell us about all these journeys that you've made.
Well, first off, I'm going to say one thing about Don Hewitt, the professor. Don Hewitt, the professor, is a very smart man. I was a credited journalist when I was at Sask Sport. I went to the Olympics in 1988, and I ran into him and the cameraman, might have been Jack Tunnicliffe or somebody. And they had this scam going on where they'd turn on a TV camera light, and we'd jump to the front of every line in every bar that we went to. So I just kind of hung around with Don Hewitt as he scammed his way into bars using a TV camera light to gain access. So I'm not sure if Don remembers this, but it was a very clear memory for me.
Well, the one thing I remember very clearly, I went to the Olympics and did pretty much absolutely nothing. I contributed very little.
Well, I think that
to the good folks at CTV.
Well, I was a print journalist, but I wrote did some articles for a magazine, which was once a month.
Oh yeah.
So I had pretty much free reign the whole time there. I got to see the Russian Red Army hockey team, and I met the Jamaican bobsled team and all that stuff. But it was pretty interesting.
You said you had a couple when you were texting. A couple of good stories.
Well, one interesting story. You and I have a mutual respect and admiration for Ed McQuarters.
We do.
And I think arguably he may be one of the best defensive linemen to ever play for the Roughriders.
Oh, I'd say the best.
I know one. Yeah, well, I remember the Western Final in 1966. He recovered a fumble and ran it back, and then Leo Lewis and Dave Ramey, the Stampeder or the Blue Bomber halfbacks, couldn't catch him. That's just how good he was.
Yep. He's such a big
man.
Yep. He could run like that.
I tried to, I wanted to get an autograph for my jersey, and Rider alumni couldn't really make it happen. Ed didn't really go out that much. Hoppy tried to do it. He couldn't really get him. But we were marooned in Regina Hotel during one of a blizzard one year, and we were stuck there for about 2 days. So I found a phone book in the hotel. So I just looked up Ed McQuarters and I phoned him up. He said, "Oh, sure, come on over. I'll sign it for you." So I went over there, and he told me a whole bunch of stories about his tough upbringing in life, and how St. Louis kind of jerked him around a little bit. Yeah, he was in the same draft class with St. Louis as Roy Shivers.
Oh, okay. Well, unfortunately, that's interesting. Unfortunately, during Ed's era, there was still racism in professional football. Sadly, he was a victim of it. The good news was he came to Saskatchewan and was a big reason that they won the 1966 Grey Cup. And from there on, Eagle Keys would use them as a test at training camp against defensive tackles, one-on-one, or rather, I should say they tested offensive linemen against Ed, the defensive tackle. They wouldn't bother with any other defensive tackles. They just go with Ed against an offensive lineman, and if he could just only got beat badly, he might play. If he got beat very, very badly, they'd probably cut him. And that was the Eagle Keys test.
Yeah, I remember those training camps because I went to them when I was a kid, and they used to hold them at the racetrack there. Mm-hmm. And you used to go in there and watch them do the gauntlets, the one-on-ones there. And there was a lot of, like Dan Rashovich said, a lot of grunting and groaning and farting and everything else that they would.
Well, and the coolest thing about Ed isn't so much what an unbelievable football player that he was, but he's also an outstanding person, Ed McQuarters. And I very proudly wear his jersey to the majority of Rider games. And, it's only older guys will come up to you and say, oh, I like your jersey because they remember Ed. And it makes you feel like, it's too bad the younger people didn't see him play. I don't think it's even close that he's the greatest defensive tackle to ever play for Saskatchewan. And they've had some really good ones.
Well, if they put his body in today's society, a 6'1", 255 guy that ran like he did back then, like 35, 40 years, 50 years later on, picture him now, what kind of physical specimen he might be comparatively to some of the players they have now. There's no way he'd even be in the CFL. He would be, he was Cam Wake with size, essentially.
Yeah, he was. That's a good point. It's really nice to touch base with you, Ron. Such a dedicated Rough Rider fan, and I hope you're coming Friday because it's going to be a heck of an event. 3-1 the Stampeders, 4-0 Saskatchewan. So thanks for joining us, and Sportscage will continue in just a moment.
Every vodka company claims to be a #1 selling award-winning vodka. But let's face it, they care about awards, not vodka. Bigfoot Vodka is proudly the world's only second best vodka. It's the perfect everyday, low-cost, high-value vodka. They're perfectly happy to be second best. While the so-called #1 companies are dusting their meaningless industry awards, Bigfoot is just making good vodka for you. Bigfoot Vodka, refreshingly down to earth. The world's only second best vodka.
Bigfoot Vodka. Vodka by the foot.
When most people look at windows, they look right through them. When the guys at North Home Windows look at windows, they see a chance to improve the efficiency and comfort of your home. They know old windows are drafty. If your windows are old and drafty, call North Home Windows. They're built in Saskatchewan for Saskatchewan conditions, meaning you'll get the perfect window for your home. And if you call now, you can still book a summer or fall installation. 1-866-362-6525. NorthHomeWindows.ca.
It's Power Bill Day.
This is Tim.
Hooray, hooray, it's Power Bill Day.
Tim loves getting his monthly power bill because Tim's power bill is teeny. Tim has a residential solar system from Keln Solar. It powers his home and excess power is sent back to the grid for credits on his Sask power bill.
Give me those savings. Yeah.
Get a teeny tiny power bill.
Just like me. Woo!
Get a quote on a Keln Solar residential solar system at kelnsolar.com.
0% financing at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Remember 2019 when you could find a vehicle and rates didn't make you cry? Well, it's kind of like that again. The inventory is here, the rates are low, and you've got tons of options. Durangos, Rams, Compasses, Cherokees, the gang's all here, and they're all at 0% financing OAC. Plus, Cash for Clunkers is back. That means a guaranteed $2,500 trade when you buy with us. 0% financing is back at Crestview Chrysler in Regina.
Get it hot, get it fast. Western Pizza.
Dinner served.
What's this?
Pizza.
Looks like cardboard.
It is. Cut into a circle.
What?
Hope you're hungry.
You wouldn't order cardboard for dinner, and that's not what you get when you order from Western Pizza.
Think I'll order Western Pizza.
They've got their pizza down to perfection. Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot, get it fast. Western Pizza.
This summer, if you're thinking of a new building, think Olympic Buildings. They're engineered from top to bottom to be better than the rest. Strength, solid design, and impressive good looks are all standard on an Olympic farm building. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
The Sports Cage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
And our Sports Cage Clutch Performance, we're going to go absolutely with Vernon Adams Jr., the quarterback of the Calgary Stampeders. 13 for 18 last night in Calgary, 222 yards with key 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He had the one bomb of 66 yards. So Vernon Adams has a winning record against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, of all things. Who would expect anybody, after Winnipeg winning the West 5 years in a row, to have a winning record against them? Clutch Performance brought to you by Nick's Service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's National Fishing Week in Canada. And if anybody knows a lot about that topic, it's obviously Jason Matty of getfishing.ca. That's getfishing.ca. Log on, you're going to learn a whole bunch. But Saskatchewan, next weekend, it's their big fishing week, is it not, Jason? July 12th and 13th. So what's happening on those days in this wonderful province of Saskatchewan?
For sure, Don. And just to give a little bit of background on National Fishing Week, we in Saskatchewan are tied to it. It's an overall celebration of getting out, putting the electronics down, getting out in the great outdoors and casting a line and enjoying some fishing in our outdoor heritage in Canada, of which we're blessed with an extreme amount of outdoors in this province and in this country. A lot of other provinces like Ontario, they have free fishing all week this week. That's directly tied to National Fishing Week, but it's really the precursor to get everybody revved up for Free Fishing Weekend, which is next weekend, which is pretty much exactly as it sounds, meaning you can go out for free and you don't need a license.
Right, and it sounds good. I like the concept, but of course I need something to fish with. So how about let's talk to the absolute fishing rookies, the people that have never fished, and they're listening to you speak with tremendous knowledge on fishing, and they're wondering, well, then now what do I do? It's free fishing. I want to go, but now what do I do? I have nothing.
Well, it's one of those things that, it depends how deep you want to go down the wormhole. I remember you used to be able to grab a set of golf clubs that looked pretty random and you could go have a round of golf, and now everything's specialized.
Yeah.
Fishing can be, if you want to really get into it, but basically what you need, and I'm going to try and show it to you here, you need a rod and reel. With this one spooled with about 6-pound monofilament line. It's the most affordable stuff. You can even get a combo lots of times pre-spooled with this stuff, so you're good to go. And this is a medium light rod and reel combo, about 6 feet long. I call it Mr. Everything, this rod and reel, because it's strong enough that you could handle like a big northern pike, for example, if you know how to play them and take your time. But it's also light enough because it's got a very, very soft action, like at the rod tip. You can see how much it's falling here. For those of you who aren't on the radio and can see us online, essentially you want to have what's a medium light outfit is what you want to have. And you can do everything from catch small perch with it to big northern pike if you know how to play them right.
Any other tips? Because people are still going to say, okay, I've got that equipment, but I'm clueless. I still don't know if I can catch a fish.
Well, my shameless plug of go to getfishing.ca is a great place to learn various techniques where we have different videos and those types of things on very specific techniques for walleye, perch, pike, trout, and other species. But essentially, it's really about, and a lot of people, obviously, if you're fishing for the first time, a lot of people who would be for Free Fishing Weekend, you want to try to find a spot at this time of year where you can cast and aren't just picking up tons and tons of weeds, because the weeds are starting to grow up, and that makes it a bit difficult for the shore angler. Having said that, though, and I'm just going to, for those of you who are watching this online, you can see I have what's called a floater, a bobber system here. Basically, it's something that clips on your line, or can hold that bait up off the bottom and keep it out of the weeds, because weeds are important. There's all kinds of fish that hang out in the weeds, but that'll keep it above it, and you can just slowly reel it back in or just throw it out there and wait for the bobber to go down, and you can set the hook. And one of my favorite lures under a bobber system is a flasher jig with a big flasher blade on it, 1/8 ounce or smaller, and that'll just dance in the waves, and either when the wind blows or a boat goes by, and the fish find it pretty irresistible. And you can even cast and retrieve that. Jigs are very, very effective in that way. And put a piece of rubber tail on it. You can also, use bait like leeches, night crawlers, minnow even, and you'll get a fish in Saskatchewan to usually come and bite that.
Okay, on the other side of the coin, almost what we would almost call professional fishermen that make money in tournaments and have all this technology. Like, you know all about this technology more than I do, but it's advancing just like a computer would, because that's basically what it is. It's computers and cameras. At this point, is it fair to the fish? I mean, what kind of a sport is it when you've got all this technology to get the fish? What chance does the fish have? Is it still a sport?
Well, it definitely, the technology is making it so we can find fish very quickly. You still do need to make them bite, though. And there's no amount of electronics in the world that will actually get that fish to put that bait in its mouth. Now, you can learn different techniques and the way to manipulate your bait that, over the years, I know if I wiggle it this way or let it hit the bottom and slightly lift it up and maybe just jiggle it or hold it still, that'll often produce a strike. And it keeps me in the game, if you will, if there's something I can see on the electronics. So that's obviously... the answer is yes. It is making it easier for us to catch fish, and that's why. And this is kind of comes full circle to a point I wanted to make about Free Fishing Weekend. Even though you don't need a license, you still need to follow the rules. And whether it's new technology, whether it's going out for the first time, you need to know that you can only keep 4 walleyes to a certain size in Saskatchewan. And if you go to saskatchewan.ca/fishing, you could read up all about it. But that's really, really important. Is that that, and it's 25 perch, which is a lot, except in places like Buffalo Pound Lake, where the limit's only 10. The reason they did that is because it's an exceptional perch fishery, and they want to protect it. So that's another way, as anglers, we can protect this renewable resource if we don't over-harvest. So kind of a little bit on the point you were talking before, but really it comes down to, if you do get a good bite, be responsible out there. Just keep a few to eat, but don't keep everything.
Right. And coming up, by the way, folks, it'll be Barney with Prairie Golf Gems in Indian Head when I finish my chat with Jason. Now, Jason, as you well know, your wife Sharon is a saint. And one of the reasons
you have no idea how much she is. Yes, that's correct.
And one of the reasons your wife is a saint is because she lets you go fishing so much. So I'm always fascinated by how much you love fishing, and you can find out about it on getfishing.ca. But what is it? Can you pinpoint why you love fishing to the degree that you do? And it's a good thing, but
I don't want to jinx myself by saying I'm pretty good at it, because the fish will make sure I'm not on the next trip if I say that. But It started for me very young, something my brother and I did together, Jeff, who's the other my partner in getfishing.ca. And, we bonded over that, and we got to go out and we got to fish. And quite frankly, it was our sanctuary from doing farm work when we got tired of doing that and when we grew up on the farm. But as I've gotten older, as we all have, I just appreciate it for the calm and serene and the nature that it provides, the mental wellness, really, of getting out there and enjoying nature. And if we catch a few fish along the way, that's great. And obviously I want to be successful when I'm out, and that's why I've learned these techniques. I want to share them with folks through our getfishing.ca website. But that's really what it's about now. It's just about restoring my mental wellness, really, as much as it is about catching a fish.
Right. Well, nature heals, and there's no doubt about it. I guess one thing that's concerning, as we go with climate, whatever you want to call it, global warming, whether you believe in it or not, is the northern fires and whatnot. And how it's affecting things like fishing. You can't even get to some of the lakes. It's so sad, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is, the boreal forest, which is a beautiful, stunning place that I like to spend as much time in it as I can.
Yeah.
It unfortunately will burn, quite severely. And, as we have hotter summers, drier summers, that's always more severe. And it's very, very sad for that to happen. And it's sad enough for those of us who pinned our whole summer vacation on being a part of it. It's even more devastating for the people who live there and support these businesses.
Yes.
So my heart always goes out to them. And I think for all of us who are disappointed that our trip might have been canceled or modified, I think we just have to be patient and be understanding of the people who need to save their homes and their properties.
Right. Now, one thing I do know about you, other than fishing, is you're a big Rider fan. You love the Roughriders. You get a little upset when they lose. I'm
getting better, but I still get upset when they lose. There's no question. And I haven't had a lot to get upset about this year.
Oh, exactly. But you're happy when they win. So what's your take on this undefeated Saskatchewan Roughrider team?
Anytime you're a Roughrider fan and you can say we're 4 weeks into the season, we're undefeated, of course I'm elated. I'm excited. I mean, and especially the last game where they put away an opponent. They really took it to them. And I think there's nothing but positives all around. Now, obviously, it's always concerning with our older quarterback, and you're just hoping he's going to be okay and able to get through a season. That's always a concern because that can derail anybody's season, those injuries. And just hoping that the only tiny criticism really is hoping that our coach can get a handle on these crazy penalties that guys have been taking, because that's going to sink us against really, really good teams like Winnipeg, which I still think is the best team in the West, and Calgary, which I hope isn't the best team in the West.
Well, one thing I know, it'd be refreshing to see another Western team in the Grey Cup. 5 in a row in a 9-team league. I think, and nothing against Winnipeg. It's the other teams couldn't, compete with them and keep up with them. But I think it'd be very good in the CFL. Again, nothing against Winnipeg and their excellence, but we need another Western team in the Grey Cup. Hopefully Saskatchewan. But don't you agree? It would be a nice
it would
change.
Be really nice to see. It would be really nice to see. And Winnipeg, they had their chance. They got 2 of 5, and they blew it the last 3 years. So they don't even, in my mind, deserve another chance. But I mean, it would be nice, but it would be nicest if it was the Riders. But seeing Winnipeg lose a 4th one is almost as good as a Grey Cup win for the Riders, I have to admit.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're our closest geographic rivals, so we're hoping that we're going to tidy them up. We have 3 games ahead against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Thanks for joining us, Jason, on Sportscage.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
Congratulations on your recent graduation. If becoming a registered nurse is in your future, complete your entire University of Saskatchewan Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree in 10 locations in Saskatchewan. If you choose another career path, apply the credits you complete during your first year to other programs. What do you have to lose? Be what the world needs, a registered nurse. Visit admissions.usask.ca.
Another one bites the dust? What a weird saying. Are they swallowing the dust? And why is it so dusty in the first place? So many questions, but what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Cobra Instinct tires. They bring your car to a shorter stop on wet roads and have decisive maneuvering and sporty performance. Dust yourself off and ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper Cobra Instinct tires today.
Summers in Saskatchewan can get toasty. Be ready with a new Bryant air conditioner from Bronco Plumbing, Heating and Cooling. Bronco's Bryant air conditioners are tariff-free and in stock. When Bronco installs your new Bryant air conditioner, they'll only send qualified, courteous, professional tradespeople who will do the job right, including the cleanup. For a tariff-free Bryant air conditioner, call Bronco Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, 781-2090, or visit broncoplumbing.com. They'll treat you right.
At the cabin or on the farm, Access Rural Internet gives you speed and service you can rely on. Right now, get Access Rural Internet for as low as $69.95 a month for 24 months, including free service calls by our local techs, a free Wi-Fi router, and a strong, reliable signal matched by our strong, reliable customer service. Great service is never far away with Access Rural Internet. Visit myaccess.ca to book your free site survey.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
The 620 CKRM Country Corner is brought to you by Glasses TV, your SaskTel authorized dealer, and Foster's Audio Video in Carlisle. Get the newest cell phone today with an amazing SaskTel rate plan.
The countdown is on to the party of the summer with Country Thunder Saskatchewan, July 10th to 13th at Craven. Jason Aldean, Bailey Zimmerman, Def Leppard, and so many more. Snag your tickets and camping online at countrythunder.com. The Creelman Fair is coming up Saturday, July 19th. Parade, craft and trade show, horse and cattle shows, and much more. CreelmanEggSociety.ca. And the Moose Mountain Pro Rodeo in Kennedy is July 19th and 20th. Gloria Evans will be on location Saturday. Parade at 3, rodeo at 6, followed by DJ Dale in the Beer Gardens at 9. Sunday pancake breakfast at 9, trick riders and wild ponies after the rodeo.
For more information, visit 620ckrm.com. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports. Whatever your sport is, Extreme Hockey has you covered.
And the Sports Ticker, one game in the CFL tonight. Hamilton plays in Toronto. We'll be talking to Glenn Sudter about that game very shortly. Saskatchewan teams playing baseball tonight. It's July 4th. I guess it's an American thing to do. Okotoks is in Swift Current. Saskatoon Berries are in Moose Jaw. The Ticker brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sport. Whatever your spring sport is or summer, Extreme Hockey has you covered.
Courses in and around Saskatchewan, a lot of the 9-hole, the 9-bangers out there, some of the hidden gems. Prairie Golf Gems brought to you by Flooring Superstore in Regina. Trent Dickin and his team, they're big golfers, and they can help you out. Anything you need flooring, over 30 years in business. They help rural Saskatchewan, all southern Saskatchewan, and like I said, they love supporting initiatives like the Prairie Golf Gems Report here on the Sports Cage. Today, we're going to look at the Indian Head Golf and Country Club. It's been around for quite a while. It originated back in 1962, and it was sand greens up until about 1995. We had a chance to catch up with head superintendent, all-around great guy, Ray Ayers. Ray, thanks so much for doing this and having some fun and shedding some light on the golf course.
Oh, glad to have you guys talking about it.
All right, so it's a 9-hole track in Indian Head. Now, I've never played it, but people talk about it. It's an awesome little loop. A lot of people like to do the Katepwa, then Indian Head, kind of back-to-back to make it 18 holes. When you talk about the Indian Head golf course to people, like, how do you describe it? What do you say about it?
For a golf course that doesn't have a lot of amenities, it's very challenging. Our greens are small. They're hard to hit. Our holes are long. It's a challenging course. Even our par threes are long.
How many years have you been the superintendent out there, and have there been a lot of changes through the years?
I have been superintendent since 1995, so that makes it 30 years this year. And yes, there has been a lot of changes. For the first 10 years, we thought we'd only have watered greens and watered tee boxes, but through those 10 years, we slowly picked at the fairways, putting some sprinklers in some strategic spots. And just this past year, we finally were able to get ourselves an affluent water project, so we're not short of water anymore. That was our biggest downfall. Time July came along, we were starting to burn up because we didn't have the water available.
That would make sense. Now I'm looking at the pictures online. There, you talk about it being challenging in long holes. I think I'm reading, over 3,000 yards if you play it from the tips of the nine. Another challenging thing, it looks like there's a lot of trees on this course, Ray.
Oh, yeah. There was about 30,000 planted throughout quite a few years, and we've actually had to trim a few back and take a few out. It just got to be too many.
What would be your favorite hole, and what's the kind of the favorite hole of most people that play it?
Well, I'd almost want to say number 8, because we have 7 poplars right in the middle of the fairway, just before where you want to land. So we call those the 7 sisters, and if you can get by them, you're doing well, and I'd say it's a very challenging hole.
What is it busy, summertime here, a lot of people around the lakes and all that. When is it the busiest time? When do you advise people to maybe call, make a booking if they're going to come out? What kind of, information can you give us on that?
Well, now that summer season is upon us, I would start booking your tee times all the time. And you can book through T-On. So you can book online, and that's the great part about it. So you don't have to him and haw. If you're going to get a tee time, you can see the tee times right there, what are available.
So Ray, it says, on the website, adult 9 holes, only $29.50, 18 holes, $44, coupon books available. And you got power carts out there, right? Like it says 18-hole power cart, $38, $25. Maybe talk about, the amenities. Like, can people, is there, if a guy wants a beverage or a girl wants a beverage, all that, what are they about the amenities?
Well, there's all kinds of amenities. Like we have 24 golf carts. We have a pavilion in case you want to host a tournament here. There's a pavilion you can use. There's barbecue. The clubhouse has food available.
Licensed.
The list goes on and on.
Licensed. That's the main thing when you're golfing.
Licensed. Absolutely licensed. And beverage is only $5.50.
Wow,
that's five during happy hour.
Well, you're pretty much giving it away out there, Ray.
You betcha. That keeps them coming.
What are there any tournaments that just regular public? If you're not a member out there, you're not from there. Any tournaments that you want to shed some light on?
Oh yeah, there's actually one tomorrow, as a matter of fact, but you won't be airing that one. But we have a hole-in-one tournament that'll be in August. I believe there's a turkey shoot here in September.
Mm-hmm.
If they go on the Facebook website, they'll be able to see all our tournaments that are available, and they're available to all public.
Nice, good stuff.
Yeah.
You're the superintendent, but I'm sure things like this don't tick without a lot of volunteers and a lot of people chipping in from the area.
Oh, yeah, we get a lot of volunteer work out here. We have a board of, I believe, 11 executives, and they are quite often out here helping out.
That's fantastic. Yeah. The Indian Head Golf Club, it's in good shape right now. We got some water on there. I'm looking at the pictures, Ray. You make me want to come out and play it, I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you, it's in the best shape this time of year ever in my 30 years.
Jeez.
The time to come out is now.
And
check it out. Everyone's always pleasantly surprised. They always say that. Man, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't expect it to be this good.
Ray Ayers from the Indian Head Golf and Country Club. Thank you so much for doing this today on the Sports Cage, Ray.
Well, thanks for having us on, and keep up the good work. Maybe we'll send a few rounds of golf up your guys' way.
Hey, people always love winning golf on the show. Thanks again.
You betcha. Thank you.
Like Ray said, you can find him on Facebook, also golfindianheadsk.com. Great little 9 holes, reasonably priced. He talked about it licensed. If you like a pint when you're golfing or something like that. So, if you have a course that we should showcase on Prairie Golf Gems for Flooring Superstores in Regina, Trent Dickin and his team, over 30 years in business, let us know. Shoot us a text. 936-6262, and we'll try and showcase as many as we can over the year. Again, thanks to Flooring Superstores for their sponsorship and their community involvement, especially when it comes to golf, Trent Dickin and his team. It is a Sports Cage. We are the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, streaming at sportscage.com and on 620 CKRM.
We are the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM Regina, a Harvard media station.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound in Fort Capel. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. Saskatchewan's Justice Minister wants to know why the RCMP's top officer in the province was suddenly removed. Rhonda Blackmore left her job in early June and an interim officer took over. Minister Tim McLeod's office says her removal was surprising and disappointing. Media reports say Blackmore told people she was let go because of anonymous complaints. She's now working as an assistant commissioner for Indigenous and Support Services. The Moose Jaw Police Service wants help finding a 39-year-old man facing serious charges. Back in February, police found a handgun and electronics during a search. The suspect was charged but didn't show up in court. A later search of the electronics uncovered child pornography. Police have now laid more charges, including sexual assault and making child pornography. Anyone who knows where he is should contact Moose Jaw Police right away. A rollover south of Sintaluda has claimed the life of a 51-year-old man from Carry the Kettle, Nakota Nation. Indian Head RCMP got the call about the crash on Grid Road 606 just before noon on July 3rd. One person died in hospital and another person was badly hurt. RCMP, EMS, and a collision expert are still looking into what caused the single-vehicle crash. Natural Resources Minister Tim Hodgson has announced a $21.5 million in federal funding for 5 Alberta projects that aim to lower the cost of capturing and storing carbon dioxide emissions. The projects are being funded under the Energy Innovation Program, which put out a call for carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology proposals. Hodgson says investments like this will help make Canada an energy superpower.
These are not just investments in Canadian companies. These are investments in the people of Alberta, in the long-term future of the oil and gas industry, and in the technologies of tomorrow. These are investments in a tide that will lift all Canadian boats.
Hodgson says separately, a massive $16.5 billion carbon capture project proposed by the Pathways Alliance is still under discussion. And famed competitive eater Joey Joss Chestnut has reclaimed his title at the Nathan's famous 4th of July hot dog eating contest after skipping last year's event. The 41-year-old, who has also competed in eating contests at the Queen City X the past 2 years, secured his 17th mustard belt in 20 appearances before cheering fans at Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York. He had missed the 2024 competition over a contract dispute involving a deal he had struck with a competing brand, the plant-based meat company Impossible Foods. Defending champion Miki Sudo won her 11th title in the women's division. Here's the sound of Chestnut being declared the winner of this year's contest.
Champion of the world, Joey Chestnut!
That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Way to go, Travis Kelce. I mean, son.
As fun as it is watching your 5-year-old run the wrong way or pick dandelions on the football field, what if I told you you could watch your favorite sports or shows on the go anywhere? Well, you can with MaxStream TV from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Take MaxStream anywhere you go.
Oh, wrong way, buddy.
MaxStream and great internet plans available at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel, echosound.ca.
Let's get out on the water. Now is the best time of year to buy a boat or pontoon at Kevin's Marine. Cast a line in a Lund fishing boat. Take the family out on a Four Winds boat. Or head out on a pontoon by Harris or Crest. Powered by Mercury Motors at the lowest prices of the year. There are manufacturer's rebates, dealer discounts, and low payment financing on a great selection of boats and pontoons. Plus Shoremaster aluminum docks and lifts. Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel. Enjoy your summer. Get out on the water. Stop by or shop online at kevinsmarine.com.
Weather brought to you by Line X Regina, serious protection, killer looks. 1865 McQuarters Street. And Croft Electric, 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all your electrical needs. CroftElectric.com, and you can find them on all socials.
We drop off to 12, and that's courtesy of some dry air. Dew points down to the single numbers. So humidity is running low, and that allows us to take that drop down to the low teens. Tomorrow, 25 is the high, and that's just about as close to average as you can get without hitting the numbers on the nose. 14 degrees is the low Saturday night, partly cloudy sky. The smoke should begin to mix back out as the winds shift. It actually goes in the surface winds going to the northeast, and there is a little more smoke in that direction, but the atmosphere starts mixing a little bit, mixing from the south, and that'll bring in not only some cloud cover, but also some showers. Not through the day Sunday. I think we're okay on Sunday. So the weekend as a whole, as the daytime hours go, we're fine. We'll watch through the evening, though, for at least the chance for a few showers to come in for Sunday evening. 25 the high again Sunday and Monday, 25 degrees. The difference Monday is we'll start with the gray skies. Some showers come in through the night, anywhere from, we'll say, 5 to 10 millimeters of rainfall overnight. A little bit of that lingers into the morning. Looks like it should clear out pretty quickly now. Concerned it may linger a bit. For most of us, it should end pretty early morning.
With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McQuarters Street.
Croft Electric. You've probably heard of us because we've been around for over 27 years. We do commercial and residential work? Yes. We do permanent holiday lighting? Yes. We do cabins? Yes. And farms? Yes and yes. We're an authorized Generac generator dealer. We are a full-service electrical company with the experience and the people to service all of your electrical needs. We are Croft Electric. We will be here when you need us. Do it right, do it once. Follow us on all social and call 306-586-1333 to book.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
And, of course, Don Hewitt back in, filling in for Barney, who will be back in his regular chair. Here is the main host of Sports Cage on Monday. And don't forget, big CFL game coming up on TSN. The Hamilton Tiger Cats in Toronto to face the Argonauts, rather. The Ticats 1-2 and the Argonauts are 1-3. So somebody wants to get a victory out of that game for sure tonight. And of course the Argonauts, they drew a pretty good crowd in their last game. Even in their home opener, looked a little bit better. There'll be people coming down the highway from Hamilton to the game, so if you take a look at the ups and downs of the CFL, I would suggest, of course, they won the Grey Cup last year, but I would suggest that things are turning around in Toronto for the Toronto Argonauts, which is huge because, of course, Toronto is the center of commerce, business in Canada. Very important that the CFL team has a club in the largest city in this country, and I think it's a plus. They're slowly making inroads with the crowds and the football fans in Toronto, and especially because there's absolutely zero chance at this time and place that the NFL is coming to Toronto anytime soon. You convert the U.S. dollar, or rather the Canadian dollar, to the U.S. dollar, and the price for a franchise and a stadium is pretty much out of sight. So you know what? Football is the Argonauts as far as Toronto is concerned. That's the way it's going to be. And fans are responding, at least better than they have in the past. And if you missed it, Joey Chestnut wins his 17th mustard belt at the Nathan Hot Dog Contest in Coney Island. If you can believe it, he walloped down 70.5 wieners and buns, which is, of course, making a hot dog. So congratulations to Joey Chestnut for his mustard belt championship once again. The Blue Jays, of course, they are, believe it or not playing the Yankees after a 4-game homestand against the Pinstripers. They're actually going to play somebody different, and that team will be the Angels. They're coming into Toronto. Of course, the Blue Jays, after their big win last night, are now a game up on the New York Yankees for first place in the American League East. You may not like it, though, because they're in the top of one and no score, but it's on Apple TV. It sort of throws a monkey wrench into everything when it's not on your usual Sportsnet channel. It's on Apple TV tonight, but that's the way sports is going. The streamers are getting their foothold into sports, and the winners are, of course, the owners of all the sports franchises. So if you've got Apple TV, I've got it because it's got some good shows on it. If you've got Apple TV, I think you're going to enjoy the Blue Jays tonight, because it'd give them a good shot at winning that game and continuing their lead in the American League East. The biggest football game of the year in the CFL for Saskatchewan is definitely this Friday, when the 3-1 Calgary Stampeders come into Saskatchewan. I like calling it Saskatchewan, not Regina, because let's face it, it's the Saskatchewan Roughriders, not the Regina Roughriders. If it was the Regina Roughriders, the team would have been defunct long ago. Anyway, they're coming in a battle for first place at the top of the West between Calgary and Saskatchewan. Who would have thought it? After, of course, the Stampeders absolutely thumped the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last night. Glenn Sudter is going to be coming up in just a few minutes, and he's going to discuss the game at McMahon that he saw in person. And everybody, of course, last night, if you watched TSN, celebrating the Stampede, which begins officially today, wearing their cowboy hats and their regalia. It was a lot of fun to watch, and it was sort of refreshing to see, for once, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take an absolute pasting. The more parity in any league, the better. The CFL has probably the fairest, except for a little bit of last year with what BC did. But they've got pretty much the fairest salary cap of any professional sports in North America. So, in theory, the CFL should be very, very competitive, which it normally certainly is. And that was very nice to see for sure. So Glenn is on the line. Last night, Glenn, everybody was wearing cowboy hats and on the TSN crew. And you had a really sharp-looking hat. And we're going to go to that when we're ready with it.
Time now for press coverage with CFL and Saskatchewan Roughrider legend Glenn Sudter on the Sports Cage. Brought to you by Bronco Plumbing and Heating, where professional service is guaranteed. They'll treat you right. 781-2090.
As I continued, Glenn Sudter had a very snappy cowboy hat on last night. Let's go to a picture of it if we can. Because it was a hat that cost a few bucks. It was very stylish. Glenn looked really good in the hat. When we see it, we'll let you know, Glenn, because of course the people on radio won't see it. But if you're smart enough to be streaming, you will see Glenn in his hat. And when we see it, we can also say that if you want to see something that's the exact opposite of what Glenn looked like, and I mean the absolute opposite, I think Curtis is still going to try to effort a shot of it as we talk to Glenn, will be his partner, Dustin Nielsen, in the booth. Glenn had a stylish hat. We will see it in a few seconds. Dustin Nielsen had a plastic cowboy hat that he got at the dollar store, I think. Where did he get his hat, Glenn?
That's a good question, Don. I don't know, but I know he was searching for the Woody lookalike from Toy Story, and because his kids love the Toy Story thing, and they're right at that age, and so he was looking for the Woody hat with the whistle and everything, and he came up with that one. In fact, it was funny because just before I left from Vancouver to get to Calgary, he texted me and he said, "Hey, I'm going hat shopping. Do you want me to get you one? What size are you?" And when he had said to me, "I'm looking for a Woody style hat," I thought, you know what? I'll bring my own. you go ahead and get yours, and we'll see how it all shakes down. But yeah, we were the outlaws up there. Well, at least I was, and so was Chantel down on the sideline wearing all black.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good presentation that you guys had, and it was sort of cool to have this Stampede Bowl, and it's going to be a fun event, and hopefully they can sort of make the Stampede Bowl like the Banjo Bowl. The Banjo Bowl, oh, there it is. We've got it up. Thank you very much. I'll tell you, that was great work by Curtis, efforting that shot. There's the two of you. I don't know if you can see the stream or not there, Glenn. We've got a shot of you and Dustin. You look so good, and he looks so bad. And his cowboy hat is shiny. Like it's off the TV lights.
Well, in fairness, Don, I had been to the Stampede a few times, and in fact, I've actually hosted a couple of things. So I wanted to, back years ago, get a really good hat for those reasons, and I just had it. In fact, I have an actual hat suitcase that you get that
really?
Guys that people that have cowboy hats, they know what I'm talking about. It's like a plastic thing, and it's got clips on the side, and it keeps your hat completely safe from any luggage crushing. So, I was a little more prepared in that regard, I think, in fairness to my partner. But it was a great event and a good idea. And it's kind of like Amar Doman in Vancouver with his Game 1 concert series, which he wants to continue. And now the Calgary Stampeders have a random July game that becomes this sort of rivalry game. And I don't think it's been completely determined as to whether or not it will be Winnipeg every year.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think they've thought that far ahead, to be quite honest. They were looking at this as a one-off event and see what it looked like, and they loved it. The turnout was excellent. The buzz in the tailgate and all around the stadium was fantastic. So I think we'll see it again. I would lean. I think there's a thought that Edmonton might be a cool matchup, but we have Labor Day for Edmonton and Calgary, and I don't know. I think it might be cool to be the visiting team going after the Stampede Bowl trophy. And it could be a different team every year almost, depending on the schedule.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out. It was a very nice trophy. The Four Nations Cup was made by the same company as the trophy that they had for the Stampede Bowl, apparently. So And the Banjo Bowl started so naturally, didn't it? And they're hosting the Stampede Bowl trophy there, as if you can see it. But the Banjo Bowl started in such a natural way. It just had to be successful when Troy Westwood called Rider fans a bunch of inbreds and hillbillies. It was a natural beginning. It was a natural start. But why not just invent the Stampede Bowl and go with it and make some excitement out of it? Now, what I thought last night, Glenn, as you were calling the color last night, 37-16 for Calgary. I thought the score actually flattered the Blue Bombers. What I thought was interesting, all the different unique issues in the CFL seems to equal that you can rebuild a CFL team in one off season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good point, and I think there's been people that have thought of that in sort of a negative way and thought, there's a lot of free agency, and that is a bit of an issue when you have one-year contracts and you can't really build or market players in your community. And I think we've discussed at length many times, the different ways that you could change that, but the upside is that you can rebuild quickly, that free agency will come. There's going to be a whole bunch of players, sometimes over 100 players that are available in free agency where you can really, rebuild your team. The other thing about our game that is unique, and I think it's that second chance league for a lot of really good athletes, good football players from the States that, are 28 years old, but are rookies in our league. And, a first-year guy that's 28 is so much more mature than a 23-year-old and has learned how to be a pro already through his journey. So there's that element as well.
Well, and that sort of ties into opening up the negotiation lists for all 9 CFL teams to the entire 45 players, and it'll change as the negotiation list changes. That's what the new commissioner has done just a few days ago. And that's so interesting for fans and such a refreshing move by the CFL, Glenn, because it gives you an idea how high of a caliber league this is, because you Google some of these players. Some of them we know who they are. I mean, we've heard of some of the players from their NFL or college careers at times, but the majority of them you don't really know. And you Google some of these guys and you realize, oh my goodness, I mean, it's just, there's Trey Lance, there's Claypool for the Roughriders and whatnot, but there's a lot of outstanding athletes here that were good players in the NFL, or decent, and college stars. And anyway, I knew if you were the commissioner, you would have opened it up, and a great move of the CFL, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is another sort of subtle but important decision by the new commissioner, Stuart Johnston, and a guy who went in and probably had it from the media angle and saw the missed opportunity, and we have talked many times. I know Dave Naylor has been a big proponent of making the neg list public. And he's, I'm sure, talked to all the staff and Stuart Johnson at TSN when he was there. So, he comes in and automatically sees the benefit of it, as you just pointed out, and says, well, why are we being held back here by, I think the beginning of it, to go back in time to say why this happened, was because coaches and organizations would spend their own money from their teams to have a free agent camp in California. They would, in their mind, discover players that the rest of the league didn't know about. So they wanted to be able to, even if they couldn't sign them immediately, they wanted to be able to protect them because they had made the investment to go down and find them.
Right.
But with social media and with, all of the communication, different ways that we communicate between leagues and college football, and you can go and see any player, basically Google him now, and you see all of his highlights. The players now are building their own highlight packages. So
that's right.
You don't really need it anymore, Donnie. You just then you go to the missed opportunity, which we have argued for years and years. And that, I mean, I remember back in the CTV days when you and I were back doing the show, and who was hosting that show? It was
Dale Isaac.
Thank you. Dale Isaac was hosting the show.
You were a reporter.
We were. Yes, and we were talking about making the Neguas public because there was some quarterback on that list at the time that was a big-name guy, and we thought, people would be interested in this stuff, and we want to make people interested in our league.
That's a good point. Now, of course, Stuart Johnson was a high-ranking executive with Bell Media. He used to be your boss, of course. With his media background and savvy and all that he knows about so many elements of sports broadcasting, how much do you think it's going to help him in this job as the CFL commissioner?
Oh, a ton. A ton. And I think the one that I always hammer home is the creation of the narrative that when well-meaning commissioners in the past, and when I say well-meaning, I'm sincerely mean they did a lot of good things, including Randy Ambrosie, like a lot of good things. And I know they were well-meaning to talk about rule changes and even some drastic fundamental changes to our game and making it more like the game down south. They had good intentions in mind, but what I don't think they understood was, and being in the media, you get this a lot, you can see it a lot clearer, is that when you continue to tell a fan that we need to fix the league because we're trying to fix the rules, because we need to fix the league to make it better and more exciting and blah, 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 what they're really saying is that the league is broken. They're not saying that out loud, but they're implying it because it needs all these drastic changes. And I always make the analogy that if I went into a restaurant and the waiter came out and he said, here, we have two dishes. One is a bit of an experiment. We're trying to fix it. It's not quite right. We're not sure if it's even clean. And then there's this other dish, number two, that is the best dish you will ever eat. Which one would you like? I mean, that's the messaging of two different things that As any sort of layman fan or layman cook, I would go, well, give me the one that I'll like forever. I mean, that's an easy choice. And I think that Stuart, to answer your question, will understand that what you say and how you say it from a league perspective matters. It matters in a big way. What is the message you're telling people? Because we don't have to fabricate it. You know that. This game is fantastic. It's fun. Are there bad games? Sure there are. Are there bad quarters and too many penalties sometimes? Absolutely. But that's the same in any league. Our league is fantastic. Now we just have to consistently message that,
right?
Create that narrative so that people don't say, well, I don't really want the one that is broken. Give me the one that is the best I'll ever eat.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Exactly. Don't disappoint, and that's what the new commissioner is going to work on. We've only got like 45 seconds left. I don't know where the time went, but if you can encapsulate this question. Last night I saw so much excitement in Calgary. I hadn't seen the fans like that in several years. They were ecstatic. They were loud. They were jumping up and down. It was so good to see. And the fact is, Winnipeg losing like that, they've won 5 Western Championships in a row. I thought it was actually good for the CFL, Glenn. And no knock on Winnipeg. Yeah. No knock on Winnipeg at all. But it was good for the league.
Well, yeah, and sometimes we can build the sort of the New York Yankee model where there's one team that is just so dominant and they become the bad guy across the entire country, and who's going to knock off the big team and all that. And I think Winnipeg has sort of built that. But yeah, I always would lean in one or the other argument to parity. And if you go in and believe that your team has a chance to be a champion, you're going to be more interested and more engaged. So I really think to your point that was a game that showed that Calgary can compete. In fact, I did the Zooms with Ottawa and with Edmonton today, talking to coaches and a couple of players. And I asked them about that. I said, when you watch Winnipeg go down and be like the second best team in that game by a long shot last night, and Calgary doing it, what does that do to you guys and your confidence? And they were like, well, it's anybody's division. You know, we're talking about teams that go, hey, they look like mere mortals, so any team can be beat on any given day.
Glenn, thanks a lot. Appreciate your insight. Have a good weekend. Sportscage continues in just a moment.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
Start counting the days. Country Thunder Saskatchewan is almost here with Jason Aldean, Def Leppard, and Bailey Zimmerman.
You're the last thing that
Plus Nate Smith, Tyler Hubbard, Kip Moore, Tim Hicks, and many more. All your favorite artists together on one stage. Experience Country Thunder Saskatchewan in Craven, July 10th to 13th. Tickets at countrythunder.com.
What's the hardest part about 7% Mike's Harder lemonade? Is it that it's not big enough to share with friends?
We have a Mike's Harder 1-liter bottle for that.
Is it that there's not enough flavor options? We have a 12-pack Mike's Harder mixer with 3 flavors for that. With tall cans, 1 liters, and mix packs, maybe the hardest part for Mike's Harder fans is choosing which one. When life gives you lemons, why not make Mike's Hard Lemonade? Enjoy responsibly. Must be legal drinking age.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
At the cabin or on the farm, Access Rural Internet gives you speed and service you can rely on. Right now, get Access Rural Internet for as low as $69.95 a month for 24 months, including free service calls by our local techs, a free Wi-Fi router, and a strong, reliable signal matched by our strong, reliable customer service. Great service is never far away with Access Rural Internet. Visit myaccess.ca to book your free site survey.
You don't want to move cows that don't want to be moved. Instead of trying to move the cows to the water, just install a Keln Solar Livestock Watering System. With a Keln Solar Livestock Watering System, you can put your pump pretty much anywhere without the cost of hooking up to the grid. Leave the cows where they are and move the water to the cows. Learn more about the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System at kelnsolar.com. Keln Solar, we move water.
This summer, if you're thinking of a new building, think Olympic Buildings. They're engineered from top to bottom to be better than the rest. Strength, solid design, and impressive good looks are all standard on an Olympic farm building. Visit olympic-buildings.ca.
It's easy to forget what we have in our own backyard, so we thought we'd remind you that with 2 million lakes, rivers, and streams, which are home to over 1,300 species of fish, sprinkled from coast to coast to coast, our fishery is the envy of the world, and it belongs to us to enjoy and to protect. Cast your lines, Canada, strong and free. National Fishing Week, June 28th to July 6th. Visit catchfishing.com.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
at the cabin or on the farm. Access Rural Internet gives you speed and service you can rely on. Right now, get Access Rural Internet for as low as $69.95 a month for 24 months, including free service calls by our local techs, a free Wi-Fi router, and a strong, reliable signal matched by our strong, reliable customer service. Great service is never far away with Access Rural Internet. Visit myaccess.ca to book your free site survey.
Calling all skilled heavy-duty mechanics. Core Industrial Services has an exciting opportunity for you. They're hiring a full-time heavy-duty mechanic to join them at their 9,000-square-foot shop in Rocanville, Saskatchewan. As a heavy-duty mechanic, you're responsible for performing maintenance and repairs on a wide range of equipment, from heavy machinery to light trucks and more. At Core Industrial Services, they believe in the power of teamwork. Apply today on their website at coreindustrial.ca or call them at 306-745-4844. Core Industrial Services, where expertise meets opportunity. Apply now.
Get your cowboy boots on because the Sheridan County Fair is celebrating the 86th year of the fair with Sheridan County branded in our hearts. July 17th and 19th, dive into the excitement with 4-H livestock shows, mud runs, beard and mullet contest, FMX motocross show, and more. Mark your calendars for a live performance by Levi Blum, opening for country artist Chase Wright on the 19th. Saddle up for a thrill-packed weekend at the Sheridan County Fair in Plentywood. For more info, gallop over to SheridanCountyMT.gov/fair or call 406-790-5788.
Let's get out on the water. Now is the best time of year to buy a boat or pontoon at Kevin's Marine. Cast a line in a Lund fishing boat. Take the family out on a Four Winds boat. Or head out on a pontoon by Harris or Crest. Powered by Mercury Motors at the lowest prices of the year. There are manufacturer's rebates, dealer discounts, and low payment financing on a great selection of boats and pontoons. Plus Shoremaster aluminum docks and lifts. Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel. Enjoy your summer. Get out on the water. Stop by or shop online at kevinsmarine.com.
620 CKRM and Harvard Media believe in being accountable to you, the listener, which is why we participate in the Canadian Broadcast Standards Council. We are committed to upholding the highest standards of broadcast excellence and adhering to the codes and conduct administered by the CBSC. If you have a comment to make about our programming or a concern about something you heard on our station, contact us on our website, 620ckrm.com. or visit the CBSC's website, cbsc.ca.
You know something? It's like selling a six-pack with only 5 beers in it. Wood Country Woody here, reminding you that unlike some other places, Wood Country Garage Packages contains everything you need, right from the start, including appearance-grade lumber, all your nails and screws, and walk-in doors with cladded jambs. Building a garage? It's one and done with Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale. Shop online. wood-country.com.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner, 600 Albert Street. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
And bottom of 2 in Toronto, the Angels and Blue Jays are scoreless. Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
Been there, done that. We get it. And we've got something great for you. The Great Bin Giveaway on 620 CKRM. We're giving you the chance to win a 100-ton fertilizer bin from Core Grain. All you have to do is be listening to find out which sponsor locations you can enter at, all across southern Saskatchewan. You'll also have some chances to qualify during Saskag Today with Ryan Young. The grand prize draw will take place at Ag in Motion this July. Don't miss out on your chance to have a shot at the Great Bin Giveaway.
Brought to you by Ag Direct Hail Insurance, Zipperlock Building Company, McDougall Auctioneers, Redvers Agricultural Supply, and 620 CKRM.
Nelson Homes is having a summer blowout sale on quick possession homes that you don't want to miss out on. Get free delivery anywhere in Saskatchewan on select in-stock show homes and spec home RTMs. For more information, visit their website, homes.nlc.ca. Or for general information, call 1-800-661-6534. That's the Nelson Homes Summer Blowout Sale. Nelson Homes, trusted quality and service since 1949.
Sask Lotteries has over 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means?